extreme, that's one thing, but they know it's going to go to the Senate and absolutely die. So how much more political capital do you expend on having these hearings, in subpoenaing people and calling in these witnesses? Comer and others on the Hill think that it's worth their time and effort, but they have to know at this point it is DOA in the Senate. You're not going to get to air the same quote-unquote dirty laundry or evidence that you have on that side of the Hill. So if you're going to do it on the House side, you've got to have impact there or it goes nowhere.
Right. Shannon, the Supreme Court heard a case this week about how some January 6th Capitol riot cases are being prosecuted. We did a preview explaining the case earlier this week. I wanted to get your thoughts on it now after the fact. What are the arguments briefly? Do you see the case leaning one way or the other?
So this obstruction charge has been used with hundreds of J6 defendants, but it's also part of the case against President Trump. So while he's not directly involved in the case they heard Tuesday, the implications are big for his case. So there is skepticism, it seems, among many of the justices that the way the DOJ has tried to use this obstruction charge, which many people will argue it was in response to Enron, it was about destruction of documents, that kind of thing. The way that it's been applied to these J6 cases, definitely skepticism among many Supreme Court justices this week. Now, if they toss it and say DOJ stretched this thing too far, you can't use it against the J6 defendants, that will include President Trump because it's part of the case that Special Counsel Jack Smith has against him. So the Trump team is anxiously awaiting this. They feel optimistic after the arguments on Tuesday, but now it's hurry up and wait for the court and see what they decide to do.
Yeah. There's another House hearing this week about anti-Semitism on campus, more protests on campus at Columbia University in New York, for example, this week against Israel's war in Gaza, against Hamas. Do you see that having any effect on policy or military aid to Israel?
Well, listen, there is definitely a growing divide, I think, on Capitol Hill that's become very public. You've got a number of Democrats saying they don't want any more aid going to Israel without serious conditions. You've got, Bernie Sanders who's been saying not another nickel if Israel continues to proceed on the path that it's on now. I think he's in the minority, but you do have more folks stepping up to say there's more nuance to this conversation and we need to be using our foreign aid to influence Israel in ways that make a real difference. These continued, conversations at these universities and hearing from students and people who feel afraid and people who feel that free speech, trying to balance that. Of course, people can speak out against wars and administrations and all kinds of things. But if people feel like there's actually a threat to them, that's obviously a different situation. So I think we're going to continue to hear from this on campuses where it seems to be the most pronounced. But whether that bleeds into what happens on Capitol Hill, I don't know. But there's definitely that growing Dem voice that says we have real concerns about this aid, how it's being used. You heard Speaker Johnson say this week he wants this package to go together out of the House because he worries that a standalone measure on Israel couldn't pass the Senate right now because of some of those positions.
Tomorrow's 25 years since the shooting at Columbine High School. My strongest memory of it, just for example, when I think of that, I think of the video of the kids climbing out of the windows and just the horror of it all. I wonder if your memories are similar. And since there's no real movement on gun control, or I'm not sure there's been much movement about doing anything about why kids kill kids at all. We talked about video games then. That seems awfully quaint now.
Yeah, I was a lawyer then when this happened. I was a young lawyer, and I remember being driving in my car and hearing about it. And as I got, to where I was going, the story just kept getting worse and worse. Then you start to see the video, and you're just sick. Absolutely devastated for these families, for these kids. And you hear from some of these survivors now, 25 years later, saying, I don't feel like it's any different. I don't feel like, the real underlying problems have been addressed in a way that I feel safe for my kids because there have been so many horrific mass shootings since then. And you think about Uvalde. Vice President was out this week talking about gun control measures. And opponents of that will say we have plenty of laws on the books that are not being enforced. Let's clean those up. Let's get that done. You also have the Crumley case where two parents are going to jail because of their son, his access to a gun, the accusation that they completely failed to help him when there were clear signs of mental distress. He carries out a fatal school shooting. They're going to jail. That's a precedent that, people across the spectrum seem a little bit wary of because they worry about how that plays out in other future cases. But it seems like, prosecutors are trying to do something that gets to the core of the problem. And if you have a child who appears to be troubled, you don't get them help and instead are buying them guns, that's a real question that parents and guardians and people are going to have to consider. But to hear from these Columbine survivors 25 years later that they don't feel any safer, clearly that conversation is far from over.
Yeah, I wonder if this Crumbley case, like you said, will be a precedent. I wonder, it'd be interesting to look back at the school shootings, including Columbine and since, of how that standard might have been applied had it been sort of in the ether at the time.
Yeah, because you think about Sandy Hook, and there was so much made of that shooter seemed very troubled too, and yet his mother had guns, and they would shoot guns together, and he had access to guns. I think, when you look to the Crumbley case and how prosecutors decided to go that next step and say, okay, we're not just going to wring our hands over what happened here. I mean, clearly in the Sandy Hook case, the mother was a victim as well. So there was no possibility of prosecution there, but looking forward at Crumbley, it's going to be very interesting to see. We've got the other case where a young man shot a teacher who survived at school, but now there are people who are being held criminally responsible, or at least charged, and principals and other people who had information about that child and potentially about the gun, the mother as well. It seems like prosecutors are starting to say, listen, we're going to hold adults and guardians and people in positions of power who have warnings of some kind responsible for doing what they can to make sure something doesn't happen. So, I think it's a new era of jurisprudence. We're going to have to see how it gets applied.
Shannon, finally, I know you're not the biggest sports fan, but Caitlin Clark, Caitlin Clark, arguably the best women's college basketball player of all time, one of the best college basketball players of all time, period. She kind of, with sports stories, I kind of do a mom test. Like, would my mom care about this? And I think Caitlin Clark certainly applies. President Biden felt the need to weigh in on her situation. She's been drafted by the WNBA, the number one pick, as everyone predicted. Now she's going to make much, much, much less money than the top picks make in the NBA. Of course, it's not apples and oranges in terms of the gender wage disparity gap, but it is forcing a bit of a conversation.
It is. And what I love about her is that she is such a positive role model. People are looking at her, all kinds of kids and athletes and non-athletes, but little girls especially who are interested in sports can look to her and say, like, oh my goodness, look at her shattering all these records. What is a positive role model? She's got a lot of respect, and the excitement about watching the WNBA draft. I mean, it's certainly brought a lot of positive headlines to the WNBA, but you do have this disparity in pay that, listen, we know in part it's because the NBA makes boatloads of money. The merchandising, all of that stuff, the TV rights, it's just a different financial situation. For her, obviously, because she's a superstar, she'll be able to monetize sponsorships and all kinds of other things. And there's additional money she will make as part of the team, as part of the league. But yeah, there's a huge gap there. So then the conversation becomes, what is that about? Is it simply because the NBA just has basically a money printing enterprise because of the worldwide fascination and money spending on the merchandise and everything else? And will the WNBA get there at some point? It's certainly grown. The opportunities have grown. But yeah, they are at this point apples and oranges, but we'll see what the growth is down the line. But I think in the meantime, Caitlin Clark has done a lot to spark interest and conversation in a way that's been really positive for the sport.
Shannon Bream, host of Fox News Sunday. Also, you can hear her podcast, Living the Bream. Shannon, good to talk to you.
You too. Have a great weekend.
Hi, this is Dave Anthony. Saturday marks 25 years since the Columbine school massacre. We talked to a survivor, Craig Scott, who lost his sister but saved some classmates that day. We invite you to listen to the whole interview in our Rundown Extra, Saturday at foxnewspodcast.com.
This is News Talk STL on 101.9, 94.1, and newstalkstl.com.
It's happening daily. We're being conned by the institutions we used to trust. The mainstream media is distracting us with meaningless headlines instead of focusing on the harsh realities facing American families. Time is short before something big happens, and that's why so many folks are preparing. They're becoming self-reliant by investing in emergency food storage from My Patriot Supply. Go to MyPatriotSupply.com and secure 4-week emergency food kits for each member of your family. Each kit contains tasty breakfasts, lunches, and dinners, averaging over 2,000 calories per day. Save $50 on each 4-week food kit you purchase. Plus, get free shipping on Ready Hour 4-week emergency food kits. You're not ready if it's not Ready Hour foods. At My Patriot Supply, you can also get solar power generators, water filtration units, heirloom seeds, and survival gear. Order by 3 p.m. and your unmarked boxes ship the same day. Shop MyPatriotSupply.com today. MyPatriotSupply.com.
Hello, everyone. For all of you who suffer from calcium oxalate stones, here is some free advice. Tip 1, drink plenty of water. It takes a lot of water to dilute and pass the substances that lead to stones. Tip 2, modify your diet. You'll need to limit sodium, cut your meat. Tired of difficult lifestyle changes that often don't work? If you suffer from calcium oxalate stones, now there's help. Kidney Cop, Calcium Oxalate Protector. Add Kidney Cop to your routine as a way to potentially reduce or even stop the formation of calcium oxalate stones. Kidney Cop is a dietary supplement developed by doctors and pharmacists. It's been proven in laboratory tests to reduce the rate of calcium oxalate crystal growth by 99%. That's right, 99%. Just take Kidney Cop. Satisfaction guaranteed or your money back. You can purchase affordable Kidney Cop today by visiting Amazon.com, Walmart.com, or KidneyCop.com. Yes, you can start enjoying life again. Purchase Kidney Cop at Amazon.com, Walmart.com, or KidneyCop.com today.
These statements have not been reviewed by the Food and Drug Administration. This product is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease.
Sponsored by Calcium Oxalate.
Tim Jones and Chris Arps in the afternoon.
4:20, we'll speak with Susan Pendergrass from the Show Me Institute on SB 727. And at 5:20, Patrick Touhy talks about the Cardinals maybe asking for Busch Stadium upgrades.
Tim Jones and Chris Arps. Weekdays at 4 on News Talk STL.
Tony Colombo here for Cadre Asset Management. A cadre is defined as a small group of people specially trained for a particular purpose or profession, and that is the role that Cadre Asset Management can play in your financial journey. Learn more about how they can help secure your financial future by following Cadre Asset Management on Facebook, or just go to cadreassetmgmt.com.
Cadre Asset Management is a Missouri-based independent advisory firm licensed under and securities and investment advisory services offered through Founders Financial Securities, LLC, a registered investment advisor, member FINRA SIPC.
We've been here 30 years, 30 Christmases in this house, and we have the traditions that most families have.
That's Terry talking about her experience with Rhino Shield ceramic coating.
We did Rhino Shield 14 years ago, and the house still looks the same as the first day. Rhino Shield really worked with me to help me get just the right nice soft yellow, and it's 14 years later, and it's the same color.
The main reason Terry called Rhino Shield is because it's backed by its 25-year transferable warranty.
It just sounded wonderful that we could have the house coated with Rhino Shield and not have to worry about it again for 25 years.
Take it from Terry. Give Rhino Shield a call now for a free evaluation. 877-25-RHINO. 877-25-RHINO. Or visit 877-25rhino.com.
There have been neighbors that have come by and said, "Did you just have your house painted?" Because they wanted to know who the contractor was. And I said, "No, it's actually Rhino Shield."
877-25rhino.com.
Tim Jones here with Dr. Kim Patton from Comprehensive Integrative Healthcare. Kim, you focus on the treating of neuropathy. What are the signs of neuropathy?
The most common symptoms are numbness, burning, cramping, usually in the hands and feet.
Tell me about the success you're having with your Restore Neuropathy treatment program.
Tim, our program includes 8 distinct steps, offering a unique experience from other treatments. No surgery, no addictive medications, and we are seeing a success rate of 95%.
Kim, that is incredible. How can people learn more?
Visit us online at CIH.health. That's CIH.health.
It's a pretty simple concept.
It is clear to me.
Let me make this clear.
Big events.
Your news and your opinions.
We're going to get out there and be heard.
St. Louis's place to talk.
Our voices are never heard in the media. We, the people, will always find a way.
And it's about time that we start putting up or shutting up.
Yeah, and you should come. You should listen to many voices.
101.9 and 94.1.
Their phone lines have surely been burning up.
News Talk STL.
Wildest ride you've ever witnessed. It's all of the above, and it's about to go down.
Yeah! Let's go! Woo!
The NASCAR Cup Series from Talladega. Coverage begins Sunday at 2 Eastern on Fox.
Now, a look at what's happening from the Fox News Rundown.
Good morning. It's Friday, April 19th. This is the Fox News Rundown. I'm Sue Guzman. Israel launching strikes in Iran in retaliation for recent attacks. Fox's Kevin Cork has the latest.
There was pre-notification to the U.S. from the Israelis before the strikes were conducted. Now, the White House and the NSC are declining to comment on the Middle East. That could obviously change. Explosions reported inside of Iran indicating multiple Iranian sites were struck by Israel, although there's been some discussion about whether or not that's true. Based on everything we have seen and heard from U.S. officials, to say nothing of the video, it is obvious that something did happen. This, of course, is part of the pendulum that continues to sway between the two countries. Fox News does confirm that the targets of the attack were not nuclear, nor were they civilian.
Iranian state media saying nuclear facilities near the sites of the strikes are fully safe. Congress is moving it forward on a foreign aid plan. Details from Fox's Ryan Schmelz on Capitol Hill.
A series of Ukraine, Israel, and Taiwan aid bills could be voted on separately by this weekend. That would total $95 billion if all are passed, with some Republicans pushing to kill a procedural vote known as the rule to keep it from even making it to the floor. Democrats are thinking about stepping in.
We want this to pass. We think it needs to pass, and we think it needs to pass now. And I believe you will see the support of efforts that accomplish that end.
Former House Democratic Majority Leader Steny Hoyer. The majority party traditionally is the only one to vote for a rule, even if members of the minority party support the bill. On Capitol Hill, Ryan Schmelz, Fox News.
I'm Sue Guzman on the Fox News Rundown.
This is the Fox News Rundown.
This is News Talk STL at 1019, 94.1 and newstalkstl.com.
Danny Define here, host of the all-new show, The Next Gen, with me, Danny Define. We're going to cover all the hard-hitting topics on this show, from national headlines to things happening right here in St. Louis.
Next Gen with Danny Define.
Join me every Sunday at 10 p.m. right here on News Talk STL.
Freedom isn't just a word. It should be a way of life for all Missourians. Wouldn't it be wonderful to live in a state where you're free from excessive taxes, regulations, and corporate handouts, and free to send your children to the school of your choice? That's why we at the Show Me Institute put together our 2024 Missouri Blueprint, a roadmap on how the state can progress to a bright future. The blueprint covers policy ideas from a Bill of Rights for parents to government transparency, school report cards, healthcare reform, and more. Our vision is for Missouri to be a place where entrepreneurs can pursue their dreams, parents are free to direct the education of their children, and a growing economy provides opportunities for all. Critical to achieving this vision is a government that understands the value of freedom in the lives and future of our people. Check out our 2024 Missouri Blueprint, moving Missouri forward at showmeinstitute.org. The Show Me Minute has been brought to you by Show Me Institute and Show Me Opportunity.
If you just recently inherited a property and you're not sure what to do with it, maybe it needs a lot of work, but you know you need to get it sold, reach out today. 314-417-1000. 417-1000. My name's Chad Clayman with Clayman Real Estate, where we've been buying houses directly from the seller with no middleman involved for over 90 years. We're a family business, and we help simplify the sale for folks that don't want to list the house on the market and have to deal with the entire sales process. And we specialize with people that just recently inherited a house. We're very familiar with the probate process, so if that is you, please reach out and we can simplify your sale today. 314-417-1000. 314-417-1000. And we've been doing it for over 90 years. So if you have a house that you'd like to sell, whether you inherited it or it needs work, please reach out as we can make you a simple, fair cash offer. 314-417-1000. 314-417-1000.
The O'Reilly Update, brought to you by Seavers JCB. Visit them at their St. Peter's location.
Bill O'Reilly here, and I'm warming up. Stand by for the O'Reilly Update Morning Edition. But first, if you own a vehicle with less than 200,000 miles, listen up. CarShield is a low-cost monthly vehicle protection plan now available to you. This protection plan is at an all-time low price. Please call 800-925-7584 for a free quote. Drivers who activate today will also receive free roadside assistance and towing at no additional cost. That is 800-925-7584 right now. On this Friday, as predicted, all 51 Democrats in the Senate voted against convicting Homeland Security Chief Alejandro Mayorkas of high crimes and misdemeanors. Thus, Mayorkas walks away from his impeachment in the House. Now, no one believed the hapless Mayorkas, a weak, inarticulate bureaucrat, would be held to account for the disaster on the southern border. But certainly President Biden and the Democratic Party should feel the scorn of voters in November. There is no question that failing to follow U.S. immigration law has damaged the country, and Mr. Biden is almost solely responsible for that. His executive orders demolished Trump's Remain in Mexico policy, which at least contained some of the lawlessness down there. Under Biden's destructive executive orders, perhaps as many as 10 million foreign nationals have illegally crossed the borders. Essentially, Joe Biden and his followers are fine with allowing people entry into this country to await asylum hearings, which are years away. These migrants are unsupervised and most dependent on U.S. entitlements, which are estimated to cost taxpayers more than $1 trillion. Also, according to congressional data, more than 600,000 migrants have criminal records in their home countries and are now at large here. Madness? You bet. As Biden would say, I'm not being facetious. Yet when Election Day rolls around, millions of Americans will vote for the border destroyers. That's the worst thing of all. Back after this. You can now watch new episodes of the No Spin News live on Samsung TV Plus. Tune in each weeknight at 8 p.m. on the First TV for breaking news, honest analysis, and the best election coverage in America. Please join me, Bill O'Reilly, at the First TV, now available on Samsung TV Plus. Start watching today on your Samsung television, Galaxy devices, or the Samsung TV Plus mobile app. Check out the No Spin News each weeknight at 8 p.m. on the First TV, Samsung TV Plus. That is the Morning O'Reilly Update. More analysis later on.
From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
Yesterday's damaging thunderstorms are long gone, and now cooler air is in control as winds are locked in out of the north. A decent amount of sunshine today, though, should be enough to push highs into the low 60s. I think it'll feel nice. Back into the 50s for your evening plans and staying dry, down to 43 for the low early Saturday morning. And this cooler air mass sticks around through the weekend. I've got 61 for the high Saturday, up to 63 on Sunday. That's your First Alert forecast. I'm meteorologist Matt Chambers.
Number one for live and local
conservative talk.
They always have great conversations.
News, analysis, and opinion.
Shame on you, Joe Biden!
Now, if I don't get elected, it's going to be a bloodbath.
We need to focus on Donald Trump and his abuses.
Does the president have dementia?
That is an incredibly offensive question to ask.
Bobby Kennedy could fall into every swing state and foul it up for Joe Biden.
Donald Trump will become president again.
101.9 and 94.1.
St. Louis is number one for conservative talk.
News Talk STL.
Hey everyone, this is State Senator Nick Schroer. I am the host of Stand and Fight every Sunday night. Right now, let's hear more of Mike Ferguson in the Morning Show here on News Talk STL.
Having your first cup of coffee? Mike's on his third. This is Mike Ferguson in the Morning on News Talk STL.
We talked about the rumors that are now going around St. Louis on yesterday's program. The Cardinals are maybe, according to published reports, going to be asking for a lot of money to help spruce up Busch Stadium. Should they get it? Okay, we talked about kind of the conceptual, moral part of it, and most people said, absolutely not. You're a professional sports team. You're worth $1 billion plus. Hey, you build your own stadium, or you should fix your own stadium and then sell us the product in the end. But the argument that's being made all over the country is that, listen, if it's not there, if we don't pay for those stadiums, then it's going to devastate the downtown economy, so it's worth the public-private partnership. Is that something we really ought to consider? Well, I'm not sold on it, but at 7:05, we got our friends from the Show Me Institute going to break down the realities of the stadium public funding situations. That's going to be an interesting conversation. Hey, good morning. Happy Friday to you. Thanks for making News Talk STL part of this day. Your colleges and universities, you're either paying for some of them, or you're an alumni, or you know somebody who's going, maybe your kid. Well, we're finding out now that not only is the DEI sort of indoctrination, it's not just part of the cultures and the posters. There are a lot of colleges now requiring students to go through the classes to be taught that worldview. Cherise Trump from Speech First joined us on Thursday's program and gave us the details of a survey of a study that they just completed. Here's what she had to say.
You all have a new report that's out. So, Cherise, I'm good to chat with you again. You've got a new report out, and you're looking at not just the DEI like policies of the colleges and the universities. We're talking about baking this into the actual curriculum. And there are schools that are, as I understand it, requiring students to take these indoctrination classes as a condition of graduating. I mean, am I overselling this?
No, you're exactly right. So we know that there's already a lot of self-censorship and coercion happening on campus, especially with regards to DEI, as you said. But we always thought it was especially limited, in the freshman orientations or having these training modules that they had to go through. And we knew it because we put a report out a couple of years ago looking closely at freshman orientation programs and how much they focused on DEI over free speech and viewpoint diversity. And we found that, of course, as you would expect, it's exorbitantly large amounts of DEI materials versus free speech and viewpoint diversity. However, we started hearing from students that it went even further than that they were actually being required to take full semester, full credit courses that were deemed on DEI in order to graduate, to satisfy their gen ed requirements. And this is, we were just specifically looking at gen ed requirements for every undergraduate student. So this isn't in specific schools, but we also have heard that it's, pretty prevalent there as well in specific schools like and whatnot. But we found that 67% of the 248 colleges and universities we looked at, 67% require students to take a DEI-themed course in order to satisfy gen ed requirements. And of those, 59% are public universities. So we were a little surprised at the number and that we wanted to expose this and let the public know, hey guys, it's not just an online training module they have to take. They actually have to take full courses that, taxpayers are funding. These are 1 to 3 credits, sometimes 4 credits, sometimes multiple courses, that they have to take. That's thousands and thousands of dollars they're spending to take these DEI courses.
Good morning, Cherise. Gabe Pfeiffer here. So, obviously, critics are going to say, well, what do you even define as a DEI course, or what actually qualifies as? So what are the types of courses that we're talking about?
Yeah, as opposed to like a comparative cultural or comparative religion or something like that. Yeah.
Right, exactly. Yeah, we were really specific in our methodology to make sure that we weren't being unfair to the universities, and we specifically looked at language that we know is associated with diversity, equity, and inclusion. That includes social justice, activism, race, racism, anti-racism, systemic racism, all of the typical terms that you would think: privilege, Marxism, sex, sexuality, gender orientation. And the courses, we found quite a few courses. I mean, look, universities aren't shy about this. They're quite proud of it oftentimes because they believe that this is what the people want, and they see this as a success story to have students being forced to take these classes. For some of the examples that you're asking for, Pomona College, there's a course that satisfies their DEI requirement called Queering Childhood. That's how they take the concept of the child and how they talk about how it's used in politics and law in order to justify cultural investments in reproductive neuronormativity. I know it's a lot of DEI jargon there, but that's kind of how they talk about it. So they teach queer theory and gender studies in the Queering Childhood class. You have Boston University, they have a social and racial justice advocacy class that satisfies the gen ed requirement. That class specifically mandates participation in social justice rallies and protests. You have Princeton University has a body, culture, and power course. It teaches that white individuals are imbued with inherent biases, contributing to pervasive racial inequalities. So again, they have all the descriptions on their websites of these classes. They're not hiding it very well because again, they don't see it as a bad thing. They want students to have to take these coercive indoctrination courses because they see them as the future of their core political movement.
Okay, so a couple of things here. I know Stella's got a question here. So the Pomona College class, the queering of that sounds like a very complex academic way of saying grooming children is what that sounds like. Okay.
100%.
Yeah. And so then the other aspect of it, what you're talking about, so as opposed to a course that says we're going to cover this ground and you can defend your position, it sounds like the purpose of the course is a specific desired ideological outcome. You pass the course by either acknowledging or adapting to what we want you to think. Is that a fair way to say that that's how these classes are being applied?
In fact, one of the ways we were able to determine that they were DEI courses was because we looked at the specific learning outcomes, not only for the courses, but for the requirement, the gen ed requirement itself. So often universities will list what themes are involved in the gen ed requirements, and they specifically list that oftentimes language like understanding implicit bias, understanding your diversity and equity and inclusion initiatives, and intersectionality. And they use this language in the learning outcomes themselves. So that means that is the goal of the course.
Good morning, Cherise. Stal Ponticus here. So I understand the 59% of public universities having this course be a part of the graduation requirements. And I can sort of see 41% of the private, although that kind of bothers me. I'm guessing it bothers you. Did you even narrow it down further to include Christian universities in specific?
We didn't specifically look at that. That's actually an excellent question. We did, however, have list an appendix in the back of our report that links to every single page website that has the specific gen ed requirement for the universities. And we permalinked those because oftentimes when you call universities out, they start to bury things and hide things on their website or take them off. So we permalink them in time so that you can actually always click into them. So if there is a Christian university listed on there, you can take a look. Now, we didn't just look at, major universities. We also looked at small liberal arts schools. So there is a possibility some Christian schools did pop up on there. And the reason we did that, we wanted to capture as many types of universities that serve the largest number of students, but also that have the highest rankings in the various systems of rankings that we have in the country. So that was kind of our goal when we were looking at which universities to select.
Okay, when you look at this, we're visiting with Cherise Trump from Speech First, and we'll give out the information where you can find this for yourself here in just a minute. It's one thing to have the electives out there. There were a lot of nonsensical, electives that I saw in the course catalog when I was in college about 1 million years ago. But just to reiterate here, we're talking about things at some of these colleges that are mandatory. You must pass one of these in order to either advance or to eventually get your degree. So we really are talking about a track that requires the indoctrination.
Yeah, absolutely. We are looking at schools that explicitly say that this is a requirement in order to graduate. Sometimes they're really upfront about it and say that you have to take exactly this, a DEI course, and they'll just call it a DEI themed course, or they'll have some title that's similar to that, and you have to take that specific class. Other times they try to hide it. And this is what we really wanted to show in the report as well, is not only is this incredibly entrenched into the academic departments, and it's not just a separate DEI department managing everything, because now this is separate. This is, if you get rid of a DEI department, this won't go away, right? Unless you're specifically targeting these mandates with legislation. But we also wanted to show how insidious the courses are and how some of these schools go to hide it or to make it seem like you have a choice. Because oftentimes they'll list, hey, you have to take these various themed electives in order to graduate. However, if you look at the number of electives that you have to take versus how many are offered, you inevitably have to take at least one DEI themed course in some cases. Or in other cases, they'll say that all of these courses that qualify for your gen ed requirements have to have these learning outcomes. And in that learning outcome, it will list some sort of DEI themed learning outcome. And so or some sort of themed goal. So what that means, every course that qualifies has to have the DEI learning outcome involved.
Cherise, in the last minute or so we have, just wanted to say that I'm particularly worried about the hard sciences and how these types of things are affecting them. You kind of anticipated for some of the softer, the social sciences in particular, but for those of us who graduated college in engineering and math and things like that, this seems like a particularly insidious way of infiltrating those academic aspects.
Absolutely. Because these are gen ed requirements, they're applicable to every single student in the undergraduate program. That includes liberal arts, that includes history and whatnot. And it's important to recognize that we wanted to capture as many students as possible because we understood that, there's different fields and different levels of DEI. However, I will say, as we were looking into this, it didn't make it into the report, but we did notice that specific academic departments also had their own DEI requirements. So you have psychology departments had their own DEI requirements. You did have departments their own DEI requirements. So that would be on top of the gen ed requirements that these students are being already required to take.
All right. Now, where do we find the report? Where do we get in touch with you all so people can read this for themselves and see if their alma mater or possibly the school that their kid or grandkids looking at is requiring some of these?
Yeah. So you can find the report on speechfirst.org and, just go to the report section. It's featured on the homepage, but you can also go into our report section and find all of our other research. You can go onto our social media accounts, Speech First, and I also post a lot of things, Cherise Trump on Twitter. And furthermore, we do put a lot of information about what the state legislatures can do in the report, and we create model policies specifically to answer this issue. So I highly recommend, if you have a state legislator that you're close to or that you write to or that you call, highly recommend you get this in front of them as well.
All right. Thanks so much, Cherise. Good to talk to you again.
Thanks, Cherise.
Yeah. Thanks for having me on.
And real quick, Cherise Trump is not a relation to the former president. They just happen to have the same last name. All right, let's get things going with the first morning news dump of the day that comes your way in about 2 minutes and 37 seconds right here on 101.9 and 94.1 News Talk STL.
Watch us on our live stream using Rumble, Facebook, and Twitter. Get up, St. Louis. It's Mike Ferguson in the morning. Number one for live and local conservative talk.
We need accurate information on this election.
101.9 and 94.1.
I follow the news pretty much throughout the day.
St. Louis is number one for conservative talk.
News Talk STL.
Attention farmers. Is your material handling equipment coming up short in your operation? A JCB TM Series telescopic wheel loader from Sievers JCB can take your productivity to new heights. Bucket capacities range from 1 yard to 4 yards and lift heights up to 18 feet. Don't miss out on special short-term lease options and put JCB TM productivity to work on your farm for under $3,000 per month. To schedule your on-farm demo, call or visit SieversJCB.com today.
My friend, death is certain. Are you prepared? Larry Connors here. I don't want to scare you, but your funeral plans are an important conversation you need to have with your spouse, family, other loved ones. My friend Benjamin Schaefer at Senior Memorial can help find you an affordable, final expense life insurance policy, regardless of your health condition. You could qualify up to $30,000 of lifetime coverage. Life insurance plans with Senior Memorial also offer living benefits towards hearing and diabetic supplies, access to a 24-hour teledoc service, discounts on urns, caskets, tombstones. Call my friend Benjamin at Senior Memorial and discover your legacy at 314-866-8886 or visit memorialplans.com. Memorialplans.com. Senior Memorial Heritage Protection.
Once you get started.
Hi, this is Ron Clutho. Join me for Groovy Grooves every Saturday to hear songs like this and memories that will take you back to a groovier place and time. Be sure to check out the playlist at newstalkstl.com for more Groovy Grooves.
And now for something completely different.
Groovy Grooves with Ron Clutho, Saturday nights at 10 on News Talk STL.
Jewels on Hampton and St. Louis Hills is paying some of the highest prices on gold, silver, diamonds, semi-precious colored stones, coins, flatware, and fine watches on site. Jewels on Hampton is a premier jeweler featuring Alvanza's jewel art designs with an exquisite selection of diamonds, semi-precious stone jewelry, and vintage watches. Their expert design team can restyle your jewelry to today's contemporary style. They also do jewelry and watch repair. Need extra cash? Jewels on Hampton is paying some of the highest prices on gold, silver, diamonds, semi-precious colored stones, coins, flatware, and fine watches. Bring in your collectibles and clocks and sports memorabilia and figurines too. Jewels on Hampton, 4506 Hampton, just 3 blocks south of Chippewa, and jewelsonhampton.com. Call them at 314-752-5000, 314-752-5000, and jewelsonhampton.com. Jewels on Hampton.
I think we should be able to have a civil conversation.
The news and talk that matters to St. Louis.
This conversation has completely made me crazy. This is complete insanity.
News Talk STL.
Hi, it's Randy Tobler here. Pour a big cup of coffee and catch my show every Saturday morning from 6 to 9. Right now, it's back to Mike Ferguson in the morning here on News Talk STL.
Morning News Dump.
Are you joking? Is this a joke?
Listen, folks. The Morning News Dump.
You know, sometimes Fridays are a little bit slow and we got to think of stuff to do. Not today.
Okay.
We got a lot going on here. Let's start with the man who cost a young woman her legs learns his punishment. Also, Missouri lawmakers, turns out, can get something done. A little more school choices probably happening in the state. And both baseball and football return to St. Louis this weekend. It is 5:52 right now. Got Stell here. My name's Mike. Daniel Riley learns his fate, and it's almost 2 decades behind bars. Riley was convicted last month of multiple charges related to that car crash in 2023 that cost Janae Edmondson her legs. Now, during the hearings, Janae's mother, Francine Edmondson, addressed the court, and here's part of what she had to say.
He sentenced Janae on that street that night to be an amputee for the rest of her life. The sentence he was given will never be enough to repay for what she had taken from her and from our family.
Daniel Riley was offered a plea deal that would have resulted in 17 years in prison. He rejected that, decided to go to trial, and he ended up with 19 years in prison. Riley's attorney had asked for a new trial, but that was denied. All right, Israel launching what's being called limited strikes against Iran overnight. That's in response to Iran's escalation of attacks against them last weekend. And at this point, it's not clear what was damaged or how bad things were damaged or if there are any casualties. So far, I've not heard any reports of casualties. It looks like these were pretty surgical strikes in nature, but we're going to get more information throughout the morning here. Okay, now speaking of the Israel and Hamas war, New York Police Department, New York City Police Department arresting over 100 college students, most of them from Columbia University, after they decided to hold a bunch of pro-Palestine, pro-Hamas sit-ins and protests. Basically, they did the CHOP or the Chaz technique of just deciding they were going to set up an encampment. Florida Senator Rick Scott was on Fox Business's The Big Money Show, and he took some aim at the students and talking about a new bill that he's introduced in Congress.
I have a bill that says that you want to continue to allow anti-Semitism to grow on your campus. You want to continue to let Jewish students be worried about their safety. You are not going to get any federal funding. We've got to do everything we can to help our Jewish community. We've got to do everything we can to help Israel right now.
And, of course, that's after Columbia University President Namat Shafik had to testify on college anti-Semitism on Capitol Hill a couple of months back. The university president maintaining that anti-Semitic rhetoric is against Columbia's code of conduct, which didn't stop anything yesterday. But many Columbia students, they say they're being targets of harassment and online doxing in retaliation for their pro-Palestine views. Aw. Poor babies. All right. Okay, school choice expansion headed to the governor's desk. With the bare minimum number of votes needed in the Republican supermajority House, the Missouri House passes the plan to expand the tax credit scholarships and allow charter schools in Boone County, because right now they're only allowed in St. Louis and Kansas City. The bill also increases funding for public schools, That was a compromise with Democrats who mostly voted against the bill anyway.
Of course.
Yeah. So I'm like, why make a deal with people who are going to vote against it no matter what?
Exactly.
Oh, geez. All right. Congressman James Comer saying Wednesday the criminal referrals from the investigation into President Biden could come within weeks, even as he cautioned impeachment is still on the table. Congressman Ben Cline, he's a representative out of Virginia and a Republican, was on Fox Business's The Evening Edit talking about the timeline into the criminal investigation.
The White House has delayed and ignored our requests for documents for so long, it's pushed it into the middle of election season, which is not what we wanted. So we are going to move as quickly as possible to resolve these matters and present the facts to the American people.
I don't think any Republicans are actually upset that this is getting pushed back into election season. So I think they've got a valid investigation mode. They say, we didn't want this in the election season. Yeah, you did. That's not hurting you. Don't do that. Okay, the Cardinals start a home series against the Brewers in a division matchup tonight. Kyle Gibson, he will be on the mound for the Redbirds. That is a 7:15 first pitch. Cards are hoping to get back to 500 with the win tonight. They are 9-10 right now. And the Battlehawks have the UFL's early game this weekend. They host the Memphis Showboats at the Dome. That is an 11:30 a.m. kickoff. The game's on ABC, but of course the Battlehawks are hoping for another record attendance at the game. Battlehawks are tied for first in the XFL conference with a 2-1 record. The Pontoons are 1-2 on the season.
When it's important to you,
I follow the news pretty much throughout the day.
It's on News Talk STL.
That case is a scam, it's a sham, and it's a hoax.
This is so infuriating, I don't even know what to do.
Shame on you, Joe Biden!
Does the president have dementia?
That is an incredibly offensive question to ask.
News, analysis, opinion.
This is where we've gone to La La Land. This is why we've got to have a new leader in the White House.
Number one for live and local conservative talk. 101.9 and 94.1 News Talk STL.
Man, what a great party you're throwing here. This wasp nest is great.
Yeah, man, we got about 70 wasps in here.
Too bad we can't fit any more wasps in here. It looks like they're having fun outside, stinging all the kids. Oh, man, who just pulled up?
Oh, no, it's the pest control company again with those green wheels. They seem to kill every one of my parties.
This is Derek, the owner of All Solutions Pest Control. Give us a call today at 636-486-7888. Learn more about our special $67 offer. You can visit us online at allsolutionspestcontrol.com.
If a pest-free home is your goal, call All Solutions Pest Control.
Hi, I'm Rodney Wallner.
And I'm Jen Wallner with the Wallner Home Selling Team at Berkshire Hathaway.
Hey, Jen, how do you sell your home for top dollar?
That's easy. Call the Wallner Home Selling Team at 314-810-SOLD.
What if I want a flexible commission plan?
Call the Wallner Home Selling Team at 314-810-SOLD.
What's the best time to sell your home?
Right now, call the Wallner Home Selling Team at 314-810-SOLD.
For all your real estate needs, call the Wallner Home Selling Team at 314-810-SOLD.
That's 314-810-SOLD.
Hey, Tony Colombo here for Gutter Pros. When Christine and I bought our new house, we knew the gutters were an issue, and after meeting the Gutter Pros team, we knew that they were right for us. Gutter Pros is your all-in-one gutter service team that offers a variety of affordable solutions, and they even offer free estimates, so there's no cost to you to find out if they are right for your home, just like they were for ours. If you're having a problem with your gutters, contact the Gutter Pros now, because with Gutter Pros, water goes where they tell it to. Call them at 314-656-7195 or visit gutterpros.com.
News Talk STL is proud to have Doug Voss as part of our lineup every week. Doug has been a staple on St. Louis radio for many years as one of the leading financial experts in the area. You can hear Doug and Safe Money Radio 3 times every weekend on News Talk STL. And in case you miss anything, you can check it all out at DougVossSafeMoneyRadio.com. What else do our listeners need to know, Doug?
Simply put, I focus on helping pre-retirees and retirees build, preserve, and protect retirement assets, and I've been helping my clients solve their insurance and financial needs for the past 33 years. I also strive to educate my clients on how to prepare for retirement, minimize the impact of market volatility on their assets, and deal with the challenges of increased longevity. Call me today at 844-676-SAFE. That's 844-676-7233.
Doug Voss is a registered representative. Securities offered through DHL Securities, LLLP, member FINRA and SIPC.
KLGY HD3 Clayton, K270BW Bellefonte, KNBS Bowling Green. This is News Talk STL at 101.9, 94.1, and always streaming at newstalkstl.com.
News this hour from townhall.com. I'm Rich Thomason. Last weekend's Iranian missile and drone attack on Israel has not gone unanswered. Explosions have been heard near a major air base and a nuclear site near the city of Isfahan in central Iran. The BBC's Charles Haviland.
Official and semi-official media outlets in Iran report that flights have been suspended to some major cities, but they're also downplaying the strikes. One official, quoted by Reuters, said the blasts heard in Isfahan stemmed purely from the activation of Iran's air defense systems. A space agency spokesman said several drones had been shot down in the same province. And another report said that local nuclear facilities were completely safe.
There have also been reports of explosions in Syria and Iraq. A Gaza Solidarity encampment on the Columbia University campus has been broken up by the NYPD. Police moved in at the request of the university president. More than 100 anti-Israel protesters arrested. Former President Trump says they can't beat him at the ballot box, so his political opponents are tying him up in court. That's what Mr. Trump says his New York criminal trial is really all about.
I'm sitting here for days now, from morning till night, in that freezing room, freezing. Everybody was freezing in there.
The presiding judge ordering Mr. Trump to be in court every day. The former president says the trial is a scam presided over by a Trump-hating judge. 12 jurors have been selected to hear the case. 5 more alternates are needed. Looking to throttle new domestic oil and gas exploration, the Biden administration has finalized rules restricting new oil and gas leasing and development in portions of a federal petroleum reserve in Alaska. On Wall Street, Dow futures down 147, NASDAQ futures off 125 points. More on these stories at townhall.com.
Relief Factor, pain relief that's natural, pain relief that works, and pain relief that attacks the source of the pain. That's the experience of tens of thousands of Americans who are taking Relief Factor right now. See their incredible video endorsements at relieffactor.com and then order your 3-week quick starter pack for just $19.95. That's less than $1 a day. Find out if it can work for you like it works for me by ordering your 3-week quick starter pack today. relieffactor.com, relieffactor.com. Be the next success story.
Are you over 30 and putting off life insurance? It's time to get a quick quote from Ethos. A better, easier way to get term life insurance. All online with no medical exam. Answer a few health questions and you could be approved for up to $2 million. Isn't it worth 10 minutes to help protect your family's financial security? Ethos. Up to $2 million in coverage with no medical exam. Some policies as low as $1 a day. Answer a few health questions and get your free quote at checkethos.com. That's checkethos.
From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
Yesterday's damaging thunderstorms are long gone, and now cooler air is in control as winds are locked in out of the north. A decent amount of sunshine today, though, should be enough to push highs into the low 60s. I think it'll feel nice. Back into the 50s for your evening plans and staying dry, down to 43 for the low early Saturday morning. And this cooler air mass sticks around through the weekend. I've got 61 for the high Saturday, up to 63 on Sunday. That's your First Alert forecast. I'm meteorologist Matt Chambers.
This hour of News Talk STL brought to you by Chris Cooper and Serenity Wealth Management. Discover little-known strategies that could be the difference between choosing the care you deserve or having someone else decide it for you. Get a free copy of Chris's book at serenityltc.com.
Hey, it's Tony Colombo with a great offer from the cleaning pros at Zero Res. So many of us are suffering from allergies right now. It's time to get your home clean and healthy, and Zero Res is here to help. Book a cleaning in April and mention the Colombo special, and you'll get 3 rooms of carpet cleaned starting at just $129, plus you can take $50 off your air duct cleaning. Get the jump on spring cleaning now. Just mention the Colombo special when you call 314-474-2020 or book online at ZeroResSTL.com.
Now you can fly anywhere in the world and pay discount prices on your airline tickets. Book a flight today to London, Paris, Madrid, or anywhere else you want to go. And pay a lot less guaranteed. Call the International Travel Department right now at Low Cost Airlines.
800-515-2397. 800-515-2397. That's 800-515-2397.
So many ways to listen to News Talk STL. Enable our Alexa skill.
Hello.
Hey, Alexa.
Yes, I'm listening.
Play News Talk STL.
Welcome to News Talk STL, conservative talk radio for St. Louis.
Mike Ferguson.
Are you pretending to be crazy?
Wow, you're really pumped about this.
Gabe Pfeiffer.
Get up, can't you hear the alarm?
Get up, St. Louis.
The best answer to the toxicity of the left is the truth.
Mike Ferguson in the morning on News Talk STL.
Get up, this is your cousin Rob.
It's Friday!
All right, the pro-Hamas terrorism sympathizers try the old Chaz technique. Remember that from back in the day?
Oh, in Seattle?
It's a
or
classic.
Portland? Yeah.
Yes.
So they set up their own little encampment, huh?
Yeah.
Little town.
Nice.
This time, though, at least one city learned from what happened in Portland and Seattle and some of the others and said, yeah, no, we're not playing that. Yeah, I'll tell you how that worked out. By the way, the pro-Hamas sympathizers were crying when the police arrested them.
Oh, good.
Yeah. Get to that here in a second.
Cry more.
Hey, don't forget News Talk STL, our app, streaming audio, because I saw there was a comment on Facebook yesterday, and I don't know where the person lives, and they're like, oh, man, I drive through this area, and I kind of lose your signal, then I got to go to the other signal. We get that because we've got 94.1, we've got 101.9. We actually have 99.1 HD3 as well. So that's a real clear signal. But just get the app. Just download the app, and it's free, and you can take us anywhere. So download that, and it's like it literally took me 10 or 15 seconds to put it on my phone. It does not take that long at all. All right, interesting development in the race for governor in Missouri. The Ethical Society of Police, what's commonly called the Black Police Union,
right,
endorsed Jay Ashcroft.
Really?
Yeah. That was the announcement that he made yesterday.
All right.
So we're actually going to talk to Jay at 7:35. He's going to be on the show here with us. So yeah, that's interesting to me. One, because unions of any kind don't normally endorse Republicans.
Yeah.
Now, law enforcement is more friendly to Republicans than Democrats most of the time anyway. In general. But in this case right here, not only do you have a police union in making a choice in the race for governor in the primary, but it is law enforcement, and it is one that is, I think it's bad that we have two, a black and a white police union. But this particular union says, okay, Jay Ashcroft's the guy. So we're going to go into more depth on that just a little bit later. I don't know that that's going to make a huge difference in the city of St. Louis, but that sort of bragging right probably goes a long way around the state with a lot of other Republican voters.
Oh, sure. Whenever you can make inroads in particular groups that aren't usually amenable to your party or your platform or what have you, then that's usually, as far as it goes for me, that's a political coup of a sort.
Right. And so, because I printed up the statement right there, and the official statement, they say the Ethical Society of Police is endorsing Jay Ashcroft for Missouri governor because he has committed to bringing the Ethical Society's voice to the table so we can advocate for our members, our citizens, and officers throughout the state. To us, this endorsement is about people over politics. We are not choosing a political party. Rather, we are choosing the opportunity to be an effective part of policy change for our members, citizens, and officers across the state of Missouri. We will never agree on every issue with any candidate or elected officials, but we agree with Jay Ashcroft on the urgency of police reform and the cost of inaction to the real people who are impacted every day.
Okay.
So that's, I think a very reasonably written statement. Hey, we know we're not going to agree with them on everything, but, we like that. It's interesting because when it comes to police unions, is there any point in Democrats even trying to get a police union endorsement at this point?
At this point, I wouldn't think so.
Right.
Given how hostile and how openly destructive their policies have been to police officers, yeah, I wouldn't do it.
Right. So yeah, that's where that is. 7:35. Jay Ashcroft going to be here with us on the program. Okay, Columbia University. They had a big protest sit-in. Basically, students decided they were going to set up an encampment.
Okay,
kind of like the old Chop and Chaz style. You remember from the good old days back then. Police have arrested over 100 of them.
I wonder if they opened up a bodega or anything.
Yeah,
like
really.
That.
Just so they could rob it.
Yeah, exactly.
It's New York after all.
Yeah.
And so here's the thing. Among them, by the way, was Omar or Ilhan Omar's daughter.
Really?
Well. And over the university says that everybody who was arrested and involved with this has been suspended from Columbia University. Their IDs have been disabled and everything already. Now, here's what's interesting is because Columbia has coddled anti-Semitism.
Yeah, for a while.
On their campus. The president of Columbia was one of those that was called to testify before Congress and ended up looking like a complete jerk.
Famously.
Yeah. And so, according to USA Today, police officers forcibly moved students out of tents at the center of Columbia's campus in Manhattan. The president, Minosh Shafiq, told police the encampment began early Wednesday morning with over 100 people occupying the south lawn of the campus. The mayor, Eric Adams, confirms the police department made about 108 arrests. Now, most of them have been released already. And when they walked out, they were like celebrating them as some kind of heroes, you know. So there are some reports up to 120 students were arrested on this as well. Of course, the ACLU is mad at the police department for doing this. But listen, this is Columbia University's campus. They can do what they want.
Yep.
And they decided they did not want the tent encampment because it wasn't like they were there with their signs and they were going to make their statement and leave. They were deciding they were going to do this stupid Occupy thing. And, remember that was all the rage about 10 years ago because it was Occupy Wall Street. And then people were occupying City Hall. And, right now, there's still an Occupy City Hall thing happening and saying, oh, wait a minute, those are just homeless people. No.
Just wait a second.
But online, you also have Occupy Democrats online.
Right. Yeah.
So they still like the phrase.
So they decided that this is the technique. They're just going to physically take over. Like, you can't do anything about it. And all these college students figured out very quickly that, yeah, you can. And here's the thing is they know that they were going to be released right away. They just know that's how this works. So they're all getting cheers from their friends, but then they're suspended from campus.
Yeah.
They're suspended from college.
All of a sudden it gets real.
Yeah. So how real is that going to be? I don't know. My guess is Columbia University will cave on this. They want the headlines and they want, radio shows like this and TV shows going, oh man, they really cracked down on those kids. And then as soon as we move on to the next shiny object in the news and the headlines, all right, kids, come on back to campus. That's fine.
But can you imagine all the fun Eric Adams is having with this going on? And you got Sanctuary City stuff with all the illegal aliens. He's having a grand old time.
Oh my goodness. Yeah. It's almost like far left leadership doesn't work.
Yeah. It's kind of crazy.
Yes.
Wild.
I know. Really strange. But here's my question though. Because at first it was Chop, then it was Chaz in Portland, and there's another one in Seattle back, 3 years ago, 4 years ago, something like that. And that was allowed to continue. So
for a while.
If you're a fringe activist, you looked at that and you would think that worked. They were allowed to literally set up their own secession area. It's like we aren't, we don't answer to any government, and of course a lot of libertarians right now are going, woohoo, that sounds great, but they did it this violent leftist way, and eventually they had to let their little society crumble, when what should have happened in those cities on the West Coast is they should have rolled in with SWAT gear and taken out that those Chazes and Chops, because they were taking over private property and holding people hostage in their home. There were rapes, there was a murder that happened. And so good on the New York City Police Department for saying, we're not going to mess with this. We're just going after this, and we're going to take it out right now. And to the credit of the university president saying, no, this is not authorized on our private property. This is trespassing. And all of these protesters were given warnings. Okay, you're not allowed to set up an encampment here. If they just came and did their protest march, I don't think this would have been more than a blip on the headlines, or maybe not even in the headlines. We probably would have even ignored it because it's just another bunch of stupid college kids.
Right.
But they decided they wanted to up the game, and at this point they lost the round. So now they have to decide whether all of their trust fund baby families will get too mad at them if they decide to up the ante themselves.
Yeah. We got to call balls and strikes, right? So their response to this group this time was good. So we're gonna, you got them. All right. appreciated. Now, kind of like you said, though, I'm watching to see what happens afterwards, because if these consequences are really just a bit of a dog and pony show to get us off their back for a little while, that's not going to that would be worse than if they ignored it the first time.
Right. Yeah.
Because then that would show that they were being deliberately misleading in the manner in which they approach this.
And if they handle it this way time and time again, then okay, great. And the thing is that I was reading the article, and it was kind of funny to me when you read the quotes from some of the activist groups, like, the police violently removed them. They took all their belongings, just threw it in an alley. And I'm going, hey, wait a minute. If you're protesting, if this is your cause, you're supposed to take whatever. That's part of the protest, is taking the consequences of your protest. So you just want to throw a fit, but you don't want actually any consequences for what you do. You want the world to take a knee to you, but you don't want to suffer any consequences for causing the chaos on this, especially, but then again, if you're in the mindset that says that you're going to be pro-Palestine and pro-Hamas, then there's nothing I can do for you.
Yeah, there's no hope.
Yeah, precisely. All right, 314-912-1019. You know what tomorrow is, right?
What's that?
It's 420.
It's 420.
What's that? No, I'm kidding.
You are so dope.
I burned my brains out, so I don't remember.
There it is. It's just, it's not my thing, but it's interesting how our attitude towards marijuana in particular has changed over the past 5-6 years.
Sure.
Very, very quickly. Just overall.
As a general, as a consensus,
how our view of this has changed.
My attitude is unchanged. but yes, everybody else.
But for the most part, society's attitude has changed.
Oh, yeah, society has moved on.
Yeah. I know people who are literally going to be celebrating this as a holiday. Then again, they really haven't stopped celebrating since it became legal. All right, let's talk about that around 6:20 here. 1019-94.1 News Talk STL.
Watch us on our live stream using Rumble, Facebook, and Twitter. Get up. It's Mike Ferguson in the morning.
Hi, Sean Long from STL Fenceworks. A new fence or deck is an investment in your home and your lifestyle. But how do you ensure that you're getting the most out of that investment? At STL Fenceworks, we know the key is satisfaction. Satisfaction means getting a fence or deck that not only meets your needs, but exceeds your expectations. Satisfaction means working with a team that cares about your project as much as you do. Satisfaction means having confidence in the quality of your new fence or deck, knowing that it was built with the best of materials and workmanship. STL Fenceworks, your satisfaction is our passion. And for me, satisfaction is knowing that providing for your family is how I provide for mine. Visit STLFenceworks.com and experience the satisfaction in making your backyard dreams into a reality.
Hey, Columbo here for Intervine, a great local company that has customers all across the country due to the quality of their products. Intervine has the best flashlights, lanterns, headlamps, and even batteries, including the new Monster 2000 Lumen waterproof lantern and the Sentinel 2000 self-defense flashlight. Our home and vehicles are full of great Intervine products, and right now you can shop their website and get 25% off your entire purchase just by using my name, Tony, as your promo code. That's promo code Tony at Intervine.com.
Replacing your roof is always a big deal and a big decision. That's why I want you to call my friends, the folks that we've trusted with our homestead, Eureka Contracting and Roofing. 636-938-ROOF. That's 636-938-ROOF. They are veteran-owned, over 30 years of experience in the construction and insurance industry. They'll replace 100% of your roof, siding, fascia, and gutters. They'll come to you with a personal consultation. Give them a call anytime that Mother Nature strikes you. 636-938-ROOF. Available 24/7 at eurekacontracting.com. That's eurekacontracting.com.
I'm Susie Moore, and this is More to the Point. Not that they'll agree they should be bound by it, but Senate Democrats set a new precedent on Wednesday that could very well come back to bite them the next time there's a Republican in the White House. Because they declined to proceed with the impeachment trial of DHS Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas, despite the fact that the articles of impeachment charged him, among other things, with knowingly making false statements to Congress, which is a felony, the Dems basically, as Senator Eric Schmidt put it, torched the Constitution and bulldozed 200 years of precedent. Following the debacle, the Dems scurried out of the upper chamber, but the Republicans stuck around to expound a bit upon what had just happened. And Senator John Kennedy, in the way that only he can, succinctly summed it up. What do you have to do to get impeached now? I mean, a felony is not sufficient. What's above a felony? And as it so often does, my mind immediately defaulted to music mode and heard More Than a Felony, with a nod to Boston, the band, not the town. So, to Senator Kennedy's point, I guess going forward, in order to be impeached, an official will need to commit more than a felony, perhaps an ultra felony. Either way, it looks like we'll see our Mayorkas walking away.
Susie Moore is Deputy Managing Editor for RedState.com. For more to the point and everything Susie Moore, log on to RedState.com. Follow Susie on Twitter at SmoozyQ and keep listening to 1019 and 94.1 News Talk STL. This hour of Mike Ferguson in the Morning is brought to you by Stifel. Request a portfolio review from your Stifel financial advisor at Stifel.com. That's STIFEL.com.
Hey there, Tim Jones here. Make sure you join me and my buddy Chris Arps this afternoon from 4 until 6 p.m. right here on 1019 94.1 News Talk STL. Right now, let's get back to more of Mike Ferguson in the Morning.
Early
Welcome to
80s.
yeah,
early 80s on this one.
Welcome to Flashback Friday.
This was a request?
It was indeed.
Nice.
Yep, George Benson, Give Me the Night. I think this one snuck in because I think this was actually 1980. It was 80.
Yeah. All right. Tomorrow, tomorrow's 420.
Mm-hmm.
By the way, do you guys know how 420 became the kind of the symbol of marijuana?
I have no idea.
Okay. I don't remember where this happened, but there was a group of kids who wanted to meet to toke up back in the day, and they would meet at 420 after school.
Okay.
And so that was their thing, and for some reason that caught on, and this is prior to social media and everything. This is a long time ago. And then 420 kind of became their code. And now that still sticks to this day. So tomorrow is going to be the national holiday for stoners.
And you know how Colorado loves marijuana.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
You know,
one of the first states to legalize.
Yeah, and I know some folks already know this already, but I'm just tossing it out there. Their highway signs that said 420 miles, they all disappeared every year.
Yeah. So now you don't see any in Colorado. What you see literally is 419.9.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's a true story.
They literally had to change what they do on that one portion of any stretch of highway.
Yeah. But here's the thing. Since legalization, how people look at pot has really, really changed. You know, I just think that's interesting just kind of as an observer. And here's why I want to bring that up in just a second here. I'll tell you here. By the way, it happened. The school choice bill is going to the governor's desk. It passed the legislature. They can get something done. So we've got the update for you at 6:35. So, I mean, I literally know people who will be celebrating 420 like a holiday. I am not kidding. Some of them are listening right now. And you know who you are.
And you know who
and
you
they
are.
are proud of it. But you think about it. Think about how the way we see marijuana has changed over the years. I mean, for instance, when I was a kid, it was a dangerous, illegal drug.
Yes.
You know, you talked about drugs, you talked about marijuana, crack, heroin. It was all lumped in together. Anything that altered your head, your mental state was just bad, unless it was alcohol because mommy and daddy did that, and that's not that big of a deal. But any drugs, and then it kind of went to, you know what, it's illegal, and you know why it's illegal? Because losers do it. Stoners do it. You know,
you don't want to ruin your life.
Yeah, haven't you seen Reefer Madness? You know, which, man, Reefer Madness. You remember that movie?
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
And the days
I've only seen clips.
Yeah, the days of that and Cheech and Chong.
That's right, Cheech and Chong, right?
Yeah, the stoner comedy became a thing.
Yeah,
actually around that period.
But the stoner comedy was always losers.
Yes.
You know, it's guys who couldn't think, and they didn't have a job, and the world was just passing them by.
Yep.
And then became, okay, well, everybody's done it. You shouldn't really do hard time. It's no big deal. It's just pot. And then after that, it was like, okay, well, we'll have, medicinal marijuana. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. Because nobody actually looks at it as a medicine. Although when I was in college in the early 90s, that's like, there's really medicinal properties. And even then I'm going, You just want to get high.
Well, clearly, I mean, it was just funny watching the people make the arguments. Yes, absolutely. It was clearly a gateway, as we'll say, towards full legalization.
Well, and then when they passed medicinal marijuana in Missouri, everybody knew that this was, okay, we're going to pass this and people are going to find out that the world doesn't end if marijuana is legal like alcohol is. And they weren't even lying about that. I mean, they were telling the truth about that, because you could go on and get your so-called medical card for anything whatsoever.
Oh gosh, there were billboards talking about, hey, get your medical cards here, here, and basically you could get some online. Like there were places that where you could just apply. You're just like, hey, my name is John Doe and I have chronic back pain. It's like, okay, John Doe, here's your card.
That's right. And there were others where you were literally just ordering a medical card for no reason whatsoever.
Yes.
And some of those were like, well, I'm depressed. Well, and I remember at the time going, okay, if you're into that sort of thing, good for you, fine, whatever. I just, whatever. But don't register with the government saying that you have some sort of impairment just so you can smoke pot. Because I'm thinking it's going to be legal anyway. Just go to your dealer for a little bit, buy it on the street. Because at some point we've seen around the country where people said, well, I applied for this. I have a mental whatever. And then you're giving politicians an excuse to go, oh, see, they have to do drugs to take care of their mental thing, take away their Second Amendment rights. And I'm thinking, don't register your health thing with the government for what's wrong with you. And then, of course, a couple years later, we legalized it across the board. And at this point now, it's went from medicinal to, it should be legal. And now it's legal and it's normal.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think there's a stigma to using marijuana anywhere near what it used to be. Maybe not as much of a stigma.
No, not at all. I don't think so at all. And looking back on it, veterans groups were really the ones who strongly pushed for it, because dealing with PTSD and other remnants of their time at war, they come home, they have to try to handle those situations, and they made that big push in so many states, including Missouri and Illinois. I remember friends of ours camping out on the Capitol steps in Springfield, Illinois, trying to get it taken care of in Illinois. Eventually, it did get passed. But veterans groups were really strongly involved at the beginning.
I know a few people who have been in the service or had other, massive traumatic events in their life. And we still make jokes about them in the social circles I'm in. But at one point, it dawned on me, they're self-medicating. And they're still functional in life. And I thought, well, I guess there's other people who turn to hard drugs. There's other people who become alcoholics. I guess other people who just roll up into a corner and end up in some studio apartment somewhere and are never seen again. But so far, some of the people I know that self-medicate, do they go more than I would hope they would? Sure, absolutely. Because I think at some point the self-medication is not dealing with the issues at hand. But the people that I know who do seem to use it for that, just in my completely non-qualified, position. I don't have any diagnosis training or anything like that, but it's obvious that's what's happening. And I'm thinking, well, if you're going to do it, I guess that's what to do it with.
Let me tie this in. Interestingly, my hat says "In Dogs We Trust."
Yeah.
And it's for service dogs. And a very, 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 very close friend of ours who lived with us for a few months, a couple of years ago, when we were still in the city, was a veteran who dealt with night terrors almost every night. And had he not taken the medicinal marijuana, it would have been probably 10 times worse for him. But I can think of various nights where he would wake Kathy up, because I'd be at work at the other station I was working at. And at 3 a.m, all of a sudden, all these screams would be coming out of his bedroom. And it was because he forgot to take some of the medicinal stuff before he went to bed. So in that situation, we saw it in person, and it was, terrifying.
Right. Well, and I think that it's changed, the view has changed so much that people look at it almost now like a pill or a glass, like an actual prescription, or like a glass of wine or something like that. I mean, can you imagine when you were a kid and if your parents found out that you were smoking pot? I mean, what would be worse, the punishment or the disappointment they would feel in you?
A bit of both.
Yeah.
it would be terrible.
Now, now it's like, oh yeah, they're smoking up. They just roll their eyes. It's like, well, it's like going to the bar. I did some crazy stuff when I was a kid too. You know, that it's just it's interesting to me how it's changed so much.
Yeah, it really has. Well, and the other part of it is it's interesting how we got here. And I think it's really because of government overregulation, because they made marijuana in the same category, like you said, as like the super hard drugs like cocaine and the like, and that actually precluded any research from being done on it. So when people were extolling the medical benefits of it, you literally could not back it up with the science because they weren't allowing you to do the science. So it was all anecdotal, but the anecdotes won out essentially.
Yeah.
So it was just a weird situation to me, the whole thing, because if we had been able to actually study this drug as it is, I think we would have come into a better place where we are now as I'm still very wary about where society is going with this whole deal.
I still think it's really, really new. So I think a lot of people are still kind of on the, no pun intended, well, yeah, there's a pun intended, the high of the new thing.
Yay, we can do it.
I think eventually, I think there's the yay, we can do it. I think eventually we'll settle into whatever is normal. Because, for instance, when you look at what the estimated hardcore drug addiction rate was prior to drugs becoming illegal, because remember, at some point, everything was legal in this country. And the war on drugs didn't really start until Chinese opium dens became a thing on the East Coast. And nobody even cared about those until white women started going to the Chinese opium dens. Mm-hmm. Then all of a sudden we got to do something about this. And then shortly after that, it was, look what's happening with this marijuana, because that's what the awful jazz and blues scene. And that was, of course, code word for what? Black people. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's what it was. And so, that's where the other part of the war on drugs started off. So you can separate out saying we've got to, do a war on trying to keep fentanyl out of the country, and separate that from a kid wants to, like a young adult wants to go toke up on a Saturday night in their house with their friends and, watch whatever on TV. There's a big difference. I mean, I've got enough libertarian in me. I'm just like, listen, man, you want to get goofy, man, go get goofy. Right. I don't care. I'm going to go play baseball this weekend. That's what I'm doing. So, all right, just ahead here, the legislature actually passes the school choice bill.
Was it a close vote?
As close as you could get. They got the bare minimum number of votes to pass it.
Wow.
But it's going to the governor's desk.
Okay.
Camellia Peterson from Americans for Prosperity is going to be with us right around 6:35 here on this Flashback Friday.
We give you news, analysis, opinion, and more. Only on News Talk STL. Get up, St. Louis. It's Mike Ferguson in the morning.
We'll see the people of the world coming out to dance, 'cause there's music in the air and lots of loving everywhere. So give me the night.
From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
Yesterday's damaging thunderstorms are long gone, and now cooler air is in control as winds are locked in out of the north. A decent amount of sunshine today, though, should be enough to push highs into the low 60s. I think it'll feel nice. Back into the 50s for your evening plans and staying dry, down to 43 for the low early Saturday morning. And this cooler air mass sticks around through the weekend. I've got 61 for the high Saturday, up to 63 on Sunday. That's your first alert forecast. I'm meteorologist Matt Chambers.
Agree.
I think conservatives have it wrong.
Or disagree.
I couldn't agree with you more.
The conversation happens here.
I agree with you on Trump. I'm shaking my head. I'm one of your liberal Democratic listeners, and I don't get why any of this even matters.
Because your voice matters.
Everybody told him he couldn't do it, and then he did do it. That's what you got to do. You got to play hardball.
I want to hear what people think and be able to talk about it.
101.9 and 94.1 News Talk STL.
When you're thinking of upgrading your house, you've got to think long term, not just because it's an investment, but because your house, that structure means so much to your home, and I mean your family, and I mean to you, and that's why you should be talking to my friends at Window World right now. I'm Mike Ferguson for my friends at Window World. The number there is 314-993-1800. They've got that big building right there off I-70 near the river as you head from the airport out to St. Charles. It's right there, Window World. Can't miss it. They're the preferred window of the St. Louis Blues, and it's a lot of fun. You know, when I just talked to John, who owns it, the other day, and they still do that thing when you look at their windows and they tell you how strong they are. They don't try to dazzle you with a bunch of numbers and stuff. They just lay it down and say, stand on it. Just literally stand on the window. Now, if you were to take your window out of your house right now, the one that's supposed to protect your family from the elements, the one that's supposed to keep your home energy efficient, the one that's supposed to protect you from the weather, and you lay it on the ground and say, stand on it, you would look at them and go, are you out of your mind? I'm going to crash right through it. Window World says, stand on it. Listen, I've stood on them. That's how strong these windows are, and that's why they offer such amazing security. They are very attractive windows. They will custom make it for your home, and they are energy efficient. They have clearing all of the, by far, they're clearing all of the current Energy Star standards, even the new ones that they just released here. So that's why they tell you they are simply the best for less. These are one of 2 windows in the world with the Good Housekeeping seal of approval, and they will make your home more energy efficient. Energy costs are only going up. That's why this is a long-term investment. When I say long-term, you don't put these in and think, okay, well, this is going to cost this much, and if we can get 10 years out of them, that's a good deal. We're talking the life of your home, okay? Lifetime warranty, all parts, glass breakage, and labor. That's a good investment, and they're going to be very competitive, and they're going to be less than even the generic, cheap, inferior windows. That's what we mean by simply the best for less. So give them a call today. And that, once again, is 314-993-1800. Tell them you heard Mike talking about them on the radio. They do not do high-pressure sales. I know that you hate those sales appointments where somebody comes by and they're trying to sell you shingles or roofing or whatever the case is, and they will not leave until you give them a yes, and they use the high pressure and they try to use guilt. That is not what Window World does. That is not their style. They don't need to do it. They come out and they will give you a custom offer. They'll show you the product, answer any questions you have, and then let you decide for yourself. They are not going to do that. I asked John about that the other day, and he just says that is not what we do. We don't like it when people do that to us. We don't treat people like that. We live in St. Louis too, and we don't want that kind of reputation. You know, why do so many people, over 72,000 St. Louisans, have Window World? Because the products are great, the customer service is outstanding, and if anything happens, if that great big, huge, massive hailstone hits your window and cracks it after 10 or 15 or 20 years, and it's a Window World window, they're still going to come out and honor that lifetime warranty. 314-993-1800. And by the way, they have 18 months, same as cash financing, making it even easier. Window World, windowworld.com, 314-993-1800.
Hey, thank you very much for taking my call.
News, analysis, opinion.
Yes, I just want you to know what a breath of fresh air you people are.
101.9 and 94.1 News Talk STL.
Do you have a house that you've been thinking about selling, but maybe it needs a lot of work and you want to sell it in as-is condition? 314-417-1000. My name's Chad with Clayman Real Estate, where we've had a family business for over 90 years, and we buy houses direct from the seller with no middleman involved. 314-417-1000. We recently just bought a house from a nice person who had been in her house for over 30 years. Quite frankly, she wasn't excited about letting a bunch of people in the house, and she wasn't as proud of the house as she once was, and she was ready to sell. We came in and we made her an as-is offer with no repairs and no agency involved. It was just a one-time walkthrough. If you're in that situation and you have a house that you're thinking about selling in as-is condition and want a simple solution, reach out. 314-417-1000. 314-417-1000. Reach out to Clayman Real Estate today, and we will provide you with an as-is, simple solution to your real estate issue.
On the next Larry Connors USA.
Trying to find jurors in New York that can say, I can be unbiased when it comes to Donald Trump? Good luck with that.
Larry Connors USA. Now, weeknights 6 until 8 on News Talk STL.
Hi, it's Vic Porcelli.
And Ken.
Hi, Ken.
Hey, Vic.
Ken and I are on every Monday through Friday, 9 to 11, right here on News Talk STL. Right now, you're listening to Mike Ferguson in the morning on 101.9 and 94.1 News Talk STL. Whoosh, my morning people.
We're airing some dirty laundry.
Yes. Whoever requested this one, good choice.
Yep.
Absolutely. Don Henley. Nice. All right, school choice is expanding in Missouri. Conservatives are happy. Let me say it again. School choice is happening in Missouri. Conservatives are angry. Hang on a second here. Okay, school choice is happening in Missouri. Leftists who are pretending to be conservatives are in a crappy mood.
Here, would you like a brownie?
Yeah. All right, we'll unpack that here in a second. News Talk STL, we are number one for live and local conservative talk 7 days a week. Mark McCloskey on Fire happens Sunday afternoon at 5 o'clock. Mark does not pull punches.
No.
Let me tell you something. The Mark you saw on the news when that whole thing happened with Mark that kind of thrust him into the spotlight, that's the same Mark you get in real life. That's just Mark, man. And so 5 o'clock on Sundays is when you can get his take on, everything at that point. All right, school choice. Looks like it's going to increase in Missouri, assuming the governor signs it into law. Joined now by Camellia Peterson from Americans for Prosperity. Okay, Camellia, I got to think that you're among those that need to get some congratulations. When I say you, I mean you and the whole AFP team, because this is something you've been pushing for years, and we'll get to that in just a minute. Welcome back to the Show Me State, by the way. Camellia was just up in Pennsylvania, where you were among those who greeted the president when he decided to come and brag about Bidenomics.
We were. So we had our national all-staff retreat in Pittsburgh this week. So Team Missouri has been there for the last few days and just happened to coincide with the president's visit to the United Steelworkers. It was just around the corner from us, as a matter of fact. So a few hundred of us took a whole bunch of signs. It's almost like we were maybe kind of sort of ready for it. And went down there, and we were ready when he came. And basically, our message was like, Bidenomics is, bad, and it's got to go. And, he comes in and you're talking about, on top of, Americans already paying so much for everything, you're talking about tripling tariffs, on steel. And, tariffs are a tax on the consumer. Like, the consumer ends up paying for that.
Yep. Yeah, and I've got bad news for you, Camellia. He already doesn't remember it. just saying. Okay, let's talk about what happened in Jeff City yesterday. So with the bare minimum number of votes, Republicans get the school choice bill passed in the House. It's already passed the Senate, so now it's going to the governor's desk. My assumption is Governor Parson is going to sign it. He's indicated, some support for it. Not a perfect bill. No. But it's got some warts on it, but it's at least a baby step in the right direction, I think.
Yes, and it is sometimes discouraging that we're only able to take these baby steps. And, when people talk to me about this, I'm like, this bill is a mixed bag. I don't think anybody is denying that at all. But I told, someone told me last night, she said, sometimes in taking, the little steps forward, we go a little sideways when we get that crosswind going. And it does feel that way sometimes. But I do think that in this bill, we got some very good things done that, that started us going in the right direction. My hope is that we keep chinking away at this and we kind of keep, showing people that this can work, and giving parents, families more choices is a good thing. And, that hopefully that will assuage some of people's fears about, there's a lot of, misconceptions about, we're going to defund the public schools and all of these things. And the bottom line is, we want the best education for every child. We want good public schools. We want good private schools. We want people to be able to homeschool well, but we want them, most of all, to be able to choose that.
Good morning, Camellia. So I'd be remiss if I didn't ask what the good, the bad, and the ugly, is from this bill, because people have been complaining a lot. They've been saying, okay, there's a poison pill in here. And granted, as everybody has admitted, there are things that we don't like. But are the things we don't like livable for now, kind of thing?
Yeah, a lot of confusion over the bill.
Yeah. Right. I think that they are things that we can live with for now, and I think they are things that can be addressed in the next legislative session as well, because we have a lot of work to do in the education realm. But the things that, we are not necessarily supportive of that are in this bill are the increases in spending on the public school side when it comes to, the teacher pay raises. And it's not that we don't think that teachers need to be paid more, because we absolutely do. But I think, where that funding needs to come from, it needs to come from cutting DESE in other places. I mean, we've all seen the numbers of how much administrative costs have risen while teacher pay stays stagnant. And there's hiring administrators in public schools is far outpacing hiring teachers and has for many years now. And so, there are plenty of places that we could pull funding from within DESE's budget already to pay those teachers. But, those kind of expenses are some of the things, I don't care for. On the good side, I think we got a lot of good things as far as expanding the Empowerment Scholarship Program, the Mo Scholars Program, that it's statewide now, raised the cap on that. And, in that, I know a lot of people had concerns about, well, is that going to let the government interfere in your curriculum choices for private schools or for homeschools? And the answer is a resounding no. There are religious freedom protections in there. There are protections for homeschoolers. So, one of the big things that came up in the last several days was this, the fear-mongering over that we were going to take away homeschoolers' guns. Mm-hmm. So, the reality is that the definition, homeschool has always been defined as a school in Missouri statute, through the whole statute. And so because of that wording, they were saying, well, this bill opens the door for making that a felony for homeschoolers to own firearms if we call them a school. Despite, multiple legal opinions that said, you have nothing to worry about. I mean, HSLDA, their attorney even said you have nothing to worry about. And even though they kind of flipped and came out opposing the bill, they did not reverse their legal opinion on that. So, but the thing is that the Senate was very responsive to those concerns. And so they really, at the last minute, they put through legislation that clarified the definition of a homeschool in general throughout the entire statute. They didn't fix anything with, 727 because that's not where this was affected. Mm-hmm. And so they did that, and then the House leadership committed to taking up that bill immediately after they passed 727. And so that, that addressed that issue, and I hope made, a lot of people feel more comfortable. Now, the reality is that the people who are making the most noise about it, that's not what was going to make them happy, so they're still unhappy, but, you can't make everybody happy.
Well, exactly. We're visiting with Camellia Peterson from the Americans for Prosperity Missouri chapter. Just got a couple minutes left here, Camellia. And that leads to, like you talked about, not everybody's going to be happy. Listen, we're supposed to have robust debate. We're supposed to fight for the best thing. That's the way it's supposed to work. But there's just a certain level of toxicity that this particular debate brought out in Missourians. For instance, if you're going to celebrate the passage of the bill, don't buy the brownies at the bake sale because, we don't know what's in them, kind of thing. But but when you look at like that, and Bev Elin called into the show yesterday to kind of defend her place on that, it's one thing to disagree. I disagree with Republicans on a lot of things in the Missouri legislature because I want them to be more free market based and more conservative and more libertarian. But it's one thing to be tough on the people you think are doing harm to others, but it's another to say we're going to up the level of toxicity in our entire process. And I'm starting to get concerned that that's what we're seeing in Missouri. I saw it when I covered other states. One party gets a massive majority and then becomes a very, very deep red or deep blue state, and then things split within that, and then it becomes basically a free-for-all of toxicity because your war is on two fronts, your own party and somebody else's. But we've also taken politics to the point where we're willing to destroy lives and destroy our own relationships over ideologies and over politics on this. And I'm starting to see a little more of that in Missouri than I'd care to see. What do you think?
For sure. That is actually the thing that has bothered me the most about this, because, we have been getting, and me personally, and AFP, as well as, other pro-school choice, organizations and advocates have been getting smeared by this kind of group of people for a year and a half. And we've made repeated offers to have that civil dialogue and discuss, because there's a ton that we agree on, right? I mean, we agree on way more than we disagree on. But it really bothers me, and I really believe that this is something that's a significant part of my work with Americans for Prosperity in Missouri, is shifting that toxic, political culture that has been so pervasive on the right in the last couple of years, because we've really moved from, influence by persuasion to influence by outrage. And it's not working. It's self-defeating in so many ways, and we just need to have those. We all want the same good things. Sometimes we have different ideas as far as strategy and how to get there. And, on this issue, there are some people who don't want, any of our tax dollars to go towards, any other options besides public schools. And, we probably aren't going to get past that particular disagreement, but there's lots of other common ground that we can work on. And that's, I think that's what's the most important thing, is that, our motto is basically, we will work with anyone to do good. And so if we've got common ground on something, just because we don't agree on this issue doesn't mean we can't work together on other issues and on other aspects, even of the education issue.
Well, and also just, as a technical point, expanding the tax credits is not sending taxpayer dollars to other things. That would be like saying, well, you got a tax write-off for donating to the Salvation Army. That doesn't mean it's taxpayer-funded Salvation Army. It just means
that's exactly right.
Yeah, so, this does not. I saw Crystal Quaid actually refer to this as vouchers. I'm like, that's not true. And Crystal's,
that's right. Yep.
Crystal's smart. She knows that. And so, so I want to make sure that we see it accurately as well. All right, we tagged you on our social media already, Camellia, but website, people want to get in touch and follow what you're doing, and maybe somebody will want to have those conversations. How do they get in touch?
Well, so the easiest way to find us is on, Facebook, Instagram, or on Twitter, X, and, just look for AFP Missouri. And just as a heads up, we are doing a series of education events that are called Free to Learn. And in that, we have those discussions. We talk about problems, potential solutions, and then we talk about people's concerns. And we have 4 of them coming up at the end of next week in St. Charles County, and 3 in Southwest Missouri, Joplin and Springfield, Ozark. And we will be having these conversations about, what does the passage of 727 mean? What do we look at looking forward? And it's a good time for questions and answers.
All right, sounds good. Camellia, really appreciate it. Have the cupcakes, not the brownies. Just saying.
Yes, I had my brownie to celebrate last night.
But I know where it did not come from. All right.
Absolutely.
All right, we'll talk to you again soon, Camellia. Thanks so much.
Thanks, Camellia.
Have a great weekend.
All right, we're going to dump some more news on you here on this Flashback Friday. And then 7:05, we're hearing the rumblings. Cardinals may start asking for taxpayer money in order to spruce up Busch Stadium. We've got Patrick Touhy from the Show Me Institute to set the record straight on that. Just ahead here on 101.9 94.1 News Talk STL.
Like and subscribe to us on Rumble. News Talk STL. Get up, St. Louis. It's Mike Ferguson in the morning.
I think we should be able to have a civil conversation.
The news and talk that matters to St. Louis.
This conversation has completely made me crazy.
This is complete insanity.
News Talk STL.
I'm Dr. TJ, owner of the Institute of Natural Health, co-owner of Optimal Nutraceuticals, and the host of Wellness 101. Wellness 101 is designed to cut through the nonsense and provide you common sense, science-based information regarding health and wellness. On the show, we discuss topics like thyroid health, gut health, hormone optimization, and many others. Our show airs Saturdays at 10 a.m. and 2 p.m. and Sundays at 11 a.m. and 3 p.m. right here on News Talk STL. For more information, visit us at inhstl.com. That's inhstl.com.
Jewels on Hampton and St. Louis Hills is paying some of the highest prices on gold, silver, diamonds, semi-precious colored stones, coins, flatware, and fine watches on site. Jewels on Hampton is a premier jeweler featuring Alvanza's jewel art designs with an exquisite selection of diamonds, semi-precious stone jewelry, and vintage watches. Their expert design team can restyle your jewelry to today's contemporary style. They also do jewelry and watch repair. Need extra cash? Jewels on Hampton is paying some of the highest prices on gold, silver, diamonds, semi-precious colored stones, coins, flatware, and fine watches. Bring in your collectibles and clocks and sports memorabilia and figurines too. Jewels on Hampton, 4506 Hampton, just 3 blocks south of Chippewa, and jewelsonhampton.com. Call them at 314-752-5000, 314-752-5000, and jewelsonhampton.com. Jewels on Hampton.
This hour of Mike Ferguson in the Morning is brought to you by Stifel. Request a portfolio review from your Stifel financial advisor at stifel.com. That's STIFEL.com.
Hello, morning people. Tony Colombo and Katie Fitzpatrick here.
Thanks for listening to Mike Ferguson in the Morning here on News Talk STL. And don't forget to join us today at 2 for Colombo and Katie.
See you then.
You should have been gone, knowing how I made you feel, and I should have been gone.
Wake up, America. It all worked out.
They got all the news.
The Morning News Dump.
Another good request there from the Flashback Friday.
Mm-hmm.
Keep them coming, everybody.
Perry, yeah.
Yep. Steve Perry, Sans Journey.
That's right. Although, when that song came out, some folks thought it maybe had ties to Journey as far as songwriting. Maybe they kind of collaborated. I don't know.
I don't know. Maybe. Yeah, because, it was a solo project, but I don't think he dumped Journey at that point yet.
No, he was not gone yet.
Yeah,
That's right.
Interesting stuff. Okay, the man who cost a young woman her legs learns his punishment. And baseball and football both returning to St. Louis this weekend. Daniel Riley learns his fate, and it is almost 2 decades behind bars. Riley, as you may remember, was convicted last month of multiple charges related to the car crash that cost Janae Edmondson her legs. That wreck happened last year in a right outside the convention center where a big volleyball tournament was happening. Now, during the hearings yesterday for the sentencing, Janae's mother, Francine Edmondson, addressed the court. Here's part of what she said.
He sentenced Janae on that street that night to be an amputee for the rest of her life. The sentence he was given will never be enough to repay for what she had taken from her and from our family.
Here's the thing, Gabe, is Daniel Riley was offered a plea deal that would have given him 17 years in prison. He rejected that, ended up getting 19 years in prison, and his attorney actually asked for a new trial, but Judge Noble said no to that.
Yeah. Well, why is the difference between the plea deal and the actual sentence so minuscule? Usually those are larger. They're further apart to entice you to take the deal.
I think that they basically said we have more than enough evidence. So get out in 17, get out in 19. The reality is it'll probably be about 15. But
I was just thinking it should shift to the right a little bit.
I think so too. But this is it's a closure for the Edmondson family.
It's something at least.
They still, of course, have the lawsuit against the city that will go to trial in March of next year.
And that one should pay for Janae's extra expenses for the rest of her life. It should.
I hope so, because I hope the city loses.
Yes.
In a huge way. All right. Israel launched what's being called limited strikes against Iran overnight. We're also getting reports of impacts in Syria and maybe some other areas. That's in response to Iran's escalation of attacks against them this past weekend. At this point, it's not clear what the level of damage is or if there are any casualties, but we knew something was happening. And it was interesting that I've got reports now that the U.S. was not given a heads up that this was happening, because that shows you, to me, kind of the strain of the relationship between the Biden administration and Israel as well. Because normally they say, hey, this is happening. We're going to let you know so you can prepare for it. It looks like that did not happen this time.
That's a big deal, actually.
Yeah.
It is. That snub right there.
Yep.
Oof.
And that means that I think we're seeing evidence that the Israeli government just simply is losing trust in the Biden administration, but that means it's losing trust in us as an ally, which is a very bad thing. Hopefully we can reverse that. Okay, Cardinals start a home series against the Brewers in a division matchup tonight. Kyle Gibson going to start on the mound for the Redbirds. He's 1-2 on the year. 7:15 first pitch. Battlehawks have the UFL's early game this weekend. They host the Memphis Showboats at the Dome. 11:30 a.m. kickoff. That game is on ABC nationally. Of course, Battlehawks are hoping for another record attendance at the game. Battlehawks are tied for first in the XFL conference with a 2-1 record. The Pontoons are 1-2 on the season.
To have a roof over your head, a nice roof over your head, is very important.
That's Rick talking about his experience with Rhino Shield ceramic coating.
We got Rhino Shield 18 years ago, and they were very cooperative on getting us the right paint. They were in and out and done in no time. Once it was finished, looked great. We were very happy with it.
The main reason Rick called Rhino Shield is because it's backed by a 25-year transferable warranty.
We've watched a lot of people get their house painted 3 or 4 times, and we haven't had to do any of it. I don't know about you guys, but I don't want to have to paint it every 5-7 years.
Take a tip from Rick and put down the paintbrush and call Rhino Shield for your free evaluation. 877-25-RHINO. 877-25-RHINO. Or visit 877-25rhino.com.
We got Rhino Shield 18 years ago. Financially makes sense, especially if it's going to last like this did. Still looks great.
Call now. 877-25-RHINO or 877-25rhino.com.
No paint, don't Rhino, go Rhino Shield. Never paint your house again. Rhino Shield.
KLDY HD3 Clayton, K270BW Bellefonte, KNBS Bowling Green. This is News Talk STL at 1019, 94.1, and always streaming at newstalkstl.com.
News this hour from townhall.com. I'm Rich Thomason. Israel's military not commenting on reports it carried out strikes on targets in Iran in retaliation for last week's Iranian drone and missile attacks on Israel. Iranian air defenses went into action overnight at a major air base and a nuclear site near the central Iranian city of Isfahan. The BBC's James Landale in Jerusalem says that any retaliatory strike by Israel would raise one crucial question.
Is this just a starter, just to satisfy some voices in Israel who said we've got to hit back and we've got to hit back hard, we can't let what happened last weekend go unresponded to? And if you think about it, more than 300 missiles and drones flying over the skies. There's been a lot of pressure from some Israelis that the government had to do something. They're about to start the Passover holiday, so it might be that this is just the start, just something to tide people over, or it could be that's it, the limit. We simply don't know yet, and we still don't know all the facts. We still don't know precisely what's happened, so therefore we've got to be cautious before inferring too many consequences as a result.
Italy's foreign minister says Israel tipped off the U.S. just prior to the attack. Forced from the campaign trail by the judge presiding over his criminal trial in New York, former President Trump laments the current state of the nation.
This country is devolving into a third world country. Between having no borders, having no justice, we have no justice, and having a press that doesn't want to cover the facts. So thank you very much.
12 jurors selected to hear the case. 5 additional alternates have yet to be chosen. More than 100 anti-Israel protesters have been arrested on the campus of New York's Columbia University. On Wall Street this morning, stock futures pointing to a lower open. The Dow futures are down 82 points. NASDAQ futures off 71, and the S&P futures 11 points in the red. More on these stories at townhall.com.
Relief Factor, pain relief that's natural, pain relief that works, and pain relief that attacks the source of the pain. That's the experience of tens of thousands of Americans who are taking Relief Factor right now. See their incredible video endorsements at relieffactor.com and then order your 3-week quick starter pack for just $19.95. That's less than $1 a day. Find out if it can work for you like it works for me by ordering your 3-week quick starter pack today. relieffactor.com, relieffactor.com. Be the next success story.
Oh, I cracked the hull of my new ski boat today.
Oh my gosh, why'd you do that?
It's not like I was trying to do it, you know.
Sorry, that's rough, my bad, bro. Did anyone witness this epic fail?
Yes, there's videos galore, and now I'm a meme.
Accidents don't just happen in sea shanties, so Progressive Boat Insurance has you covered. Take as little as 4 minutes to see what you can save at Progressive.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates. Covered subject to policy terms and not available for all boats or in all situations.
From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
Yesterday's damaging thunderstorms are long gone, and now cooler air is in control as winds are locked in out of the north. A decent amount of sunshine today, though, should be enough to push highs into the low 60s. I think it'll feel nice. Back into the 50s for your evening plans and staying dry, down to 43 for the low early Saturday morning. And this cooler air mass sticks around through the weekend. I've got 61 for the high Saturday, up to 63 on Sunday. That's your First Alert forecast. I'm meteorologist Matt Chambers.
This hour of News Talk STL is brought to you by Rodney and Jen Wallner and the entire Wallner home selling team at Berkshire Hathaway. Call them today at 314-810-SOLD. 314-810-SOLD.
How'd you like to eliminate your expensive cable bill forever or get new satellite internet where cable can't go? Well, now you can have affordable satellite internet service for a few dollars a day. All you need is a mini satellite installed, and you can have unlimited internet connections wirelessly in your home or office. And no cable boxes means unlimited connections and no clutter. You can surf the internet or stream any of your favorite television services with no cable. And the best part is, satellite internet service costs only a few dollars a day for your entire home. Yes, fast internet to surf or stream television for a few bucks a day. Call now for free details and learn how to drop your expensive cable bill.
800-696-2871. 800-696-2871. 800-696-2871. That's 800-696-2871.
This hour of Mike Ferguson in the Morning brought to you by Window World. Simply the best for less. 314-993-1800 or visit windowworld.com. Mike Ferguson.
You play ball like a girl!
Gabe Pfeiffer.
I triple dog dare ya!
Get up! Get up! Can't you hear the alarm?
Get up, St. Louis.
So it's time to get out of bed. Pour yourself the greatest cup of Kofifi the world has ever seen. Rise up with one voice, drain the swamp, and take back our country. Today's the day we're going to do it, and it's time to do it right now, believe me.
Mike Ferguson in the Morning on News Talk STL.
Get up! Get up! This is your cousin God.
It's Friday!
All right, do the citizens of Cardinals Nation owe taxes to Fred Bird? All right, I shouldn't throw Fred Bird under the bus. Fred Bird didn't do anything wrong, so sorry, Fred Bird.
Fred Bird did nothing wrong.
Fred Bird didn't do anything wrong. All right. All right, by the way, News Talk STL, stand a fight with Senator Nick Schroer. That happens Sunday evenings, 6 o'clock. I tell you, our weekend shows, they pull no punches at all. I mentioned Mark McCloskey earlier, Nick Schroer. You know that if he's got something to say, he's going to say it. He doesn't really care who likes it or doesn't, which makes it really good radio.
And Todd Showalter.
As well.
Yep. And Dr. Tobler.
Of course, Randy Tobler. Yep, 6 to 9 every Saturday morning right here. All right, we heard the reports. A couple of published reports are saying that the Cardinals are about to go hat in hand, asking for more public money to spruce up Busch Stadium. Now, remember, this isn't anything that's that new of a concept. I mean, there was a big request for, like $1 billion in taxpayer funding for the Kansas City Chiefs and Kansas City Royals, and voters said, yeah, no, they called their bluff. And I have actually heard a couple rumors that even the Blues are saying, hey, come on, man, we wanted stuff spruced up at the Enterprise Center. Maybe we need a new place to play as well. Haven't seen that percolate to the top of the headlines yet. But the bigger question maintains, is it good for a community, in this case St. Louis, to so-called invest in pro sports, Major League Sports? Patrick Touhy is with the Show Me Institute. And Patrick, good to chat with you again here. It's been a little while. We hear the same arguments over and over. It's like, hey, look at all the economic activity that Ballpark Village brings and Busch Stadium brings. And, now you've got, other either partially or fully publicly owned stadiums. And the Cardinals did spend the most of the money to build Busch Stadium. But when they say we need a public-private partnership or we need public funding to generate all this economic activity, it's good for the region. So that's why it's good for taxpayers to subsidize this. What's the conceptual answer that we'll get into some of the details?
My goodness. Hold on to your wallet. I think the biggest problem is that teams have been successful at this in the past for decades. They've asked for money, they've gotten money. If people hesitate, they threaten to leave. And so I guess I want people to understand we hear this all the time and not to believe the claims or the threats. That's the first thing, because these appeals are emotional. People love their teams, they identify with their teams, and so teams are going to leverage that. And then, of course, the other thing is just what is the benefit to the community of foregoing all this tax revenue for these teams that are very profitable?
Good morning, Patrick. I'm actually wondering if we have, studies that have been done to prove one way or the other if that's true. Are these economic engines like they argue, or is it a wash or something worse?
It's a wash to something worse. And, you can get economists who will make a very simple issue complicated, but this is what people in St. Louis need to understand. Simply because there is a new thing you can spend your entertainment dollars on does not mean that you're spending more money. And so when they put a stadium anywhere, you have a different option. You may have before gone out to dinner or seen a movie or gone bowling. Now you're going to spend it on a ticket. You're going to maybe go to a restaurant before or after the game. You're not spending any more money. So when teams claim that there are wild economic benefits to them being downtown, understand what they're doing is simply saying you're spending money here at the park, but you wouldn't have spent it otherwhere, someplace else. So it's not a net gain to the economy. And that's the part of their economic analysis they don't tell you. They just tell you about the new spending in the new location.
Well, and speaking of locations, let me follow up on something you just said, Patrick. That is, the teams tend to say, boy, we'd hate to have to leave, but we just need this. We have to have it. Is that part of just the emotional appeal? I mean, to me, it's almost an economic hostage taking to some degree. And in Kansas City, the voters said, hey, we'll call your bluff. Do what you got to do on this. But that's a tactic that we often see, as well. And of course, I mean, obviously the Cardinals aren't doing very well the last couple of years, but you look at the Oakland A's and they're like, hey, we're up and we're moving. We're going to Sacramento. So you do have teams that can point to something to say, hey, listen, you don't give us new stadium, we're going to do what that team did.
Oh, I don't think St. Louis needs to be reminded of teams leaving the metro area. I think St. Louis needs to be reminded that they ought to behave, the taxpayers ought to behave with some dignity and self-respect and say, look, we are a great market for you. You make a great deal of money off of ticket sales, off of merchandise, off of TV contracts, advertising. You do very well in this community because we are here to support you. That doesn't mean you should also be able to reach into our pockets to take tax dollars that would come from people who may never go to a game. And so, again, a great partnership is we're a great market, you make lots of money. That ought to be the end of it. But they have learned, like you said, to play that emotional hostage-taking and threaten to literally take their ball and leave.
Good morning, Patrick. Stal Ponticus here. Mike mentioned the Oakland A's, and we can toss in a couple other cities, too. The Arizona Coyotes and the NHL moving to Salt Lake City because they had problems with venues there. I think they played in 3 different venues during their years in Phoenix. And then you got the Bears threatening to leave downtown Chicago to go out to Arlington Heights. You got issues with the Cubs and the White Sox up there. Do you think that the tax issue will be the focal point regarding all of this?
Well, look, teams go where they think they can do well. Mm-hmm. And that actually is the case of Stan Kroenke. The city offered lots of money to keep the Rams in St. Louis, but ultimately he wanted to go back to Los Angeles, and Kroenke got zero money from Los Angeles. So the first thing St. Louis or any city needs to do is to be a good market. This is the bigger problem with economic development subsidies is, it used to be in the good old days, amenities downtown, such as entertainment districts, convention centers, ballparks, anything, was a lagging indicator of a healthy economy, right? People were investing in your downtown because that's where they wanted to be. That's where they could make money. Somewhere along the line, city leaders switched the causal relationship And they thought, oh, if we build all these amenities, then we will get a good economy. And that's where we are right now. St. Louis seems to think that it doesn't have to do the hard work of building a good city, and rather can just kind of rush to its dessert and build stadia downtown or convention centers, and they think that will do the job for them. How many downtown parks does St. Louis have? 4? Maybe 5 if you include the university. So it is demonstrated that it is not enough to build a big amenity and think that the city will thrive as a result. The city leaders have to do the basics of providing for good schools and roads and public safety.
We're visiting with Patrick Touhy from the Show Me Institute. And one of the things that I remember, I mean, obviously I've talked on the air. I used to be the communications director at the Show Me Institute. And over the years, one of the things that was that came up that people realized when the whole ballpark village aspect of was being built, and there was a lot of tax incentives and things like that.
Yeah.
And the Cardinals, of course, point to look how crowded it is, look at all the revenue that's coming out of there. But go a block or two outside of Ballpark Village, and businesses, restaurants, bars, they've shut down because everything was drawn away from them at taxpayer expense.
Yeah, no, it's heartbreaking because you end up with a subsidized, let's say, entertainment center. The taxes that place generates, income or property or sales tax, often are returned to the developer to offset the cost of construction, right? That's tax increment financing. And of course, the people a block away who have been busting their butts to build a restaurant to comply with all the codes, the health requirements, the business licensing, right? To get through all that stuff so that they can pay taxes, are now wiped out because of somebody who came along and doesn't have to pay taxes. It's an outrage morally at some level.
Patrick, is there any positive case to be made for the use of taxpayer dollars for economic development in this sort of way, be it increment financing or special tax districts or anything like that? Is there a positive case that can be made that actually has some evidence behind it?
Gosh, they would be far and few between because what has happened is private businesses have figured out what the scam is. I think what St. Louis and Kansas City and anywhere in Missouri could do is if they simply drew a circle around a part of town that they wanted to revitalize and said to businesses, if you want to develop in this area, we will give you subsidies, instead of just letting the developer take the lead and identifying where they want to go and having the city, support that decision. As long as people understand that you may revitalize this small part of town, but you're likely doing it just by drawing businesses from elsewhere in the city. Now, it may still be a good idea to revitalize that area, but don't think that you're actually creating anything new. So I think there could be good uses of it, but people have to understand exactly what the trade-offs are.
Well, and that can be abused as well. Kansas City, about, 10 years ago or so, Patrick, something like that, there was a community improvement district that was put into place, and the borders were literally the property lines of a fancy hotel on the plaza, the Country Club Plaza.
Yes,
that's
right. And they wanted to use the money, if you recall, to replace carpet and patch drywall and things like that. And so again, we are as conservatives, we are against taxation, but at least we would say that it ought to be the government that's doing the taxation. So many of these additional taxing jurisdictions, community improvement districts, whatever, allow businesses to be the tax collector, and of course they use it themselves. And it's so open to abuse that you work at a public policy think tank and you become kind of a cynic, and yet some of these things are still shocking to you.
All right. And of course, we'll find out in the coming weeks or two. The DeWitt family, who owns the Cardinals, has said, a little premature to say that we're going to be asking for this. And one of the things that they say, Patrick, in the last minute or so we've got is they're saying, hey, remember, we financed almost all of Busch Stadium. Very little public funding was used for Busch Stadium compared to other stadiums around the country, which actually is true. It wasn't as much as they said it was, but they're maybe making an argument to say that, hey, listen, we actually built most of our own stadium, so come on, you kick in. Let's be fair here. The DeWitt family feeling a little bit of blowback both from the right and the left on this, and so it'll be interesting to see what they come up with.
no, I would respond, that's great. You've built your own park. Congratulations. Show up when your taxes are due. I don't think that the fact that they invested themselves years ago means that we ought to chip in now. They've demonstrated that they can do it, and they don't need public funds.
100%. Amen.
That's it.
All right, Patrick, we always ask the question, the way to follow what you're doing, obviously website, social media, how do you want people to get in touch?
They can just find us at the Show Me Institute website, showmeinstitute.org. I don't spend enough time on social media to justify anybody following me.
Okay, there you go. We tagged you anyway, so, just saying. All right, Patrick, good talk to you. We'll chat with you soon.
Thanks much. Take care.
Right.
Thanks, Patrick.
All right. See, that's a great point. It's like, congratulations, you did it. You showed that it can work.
Mm-hmm.
And you know what the thing is that a Heartland Institute, I think it was Heartland Institute, but there was a study done a little while back that shows that teams that pay for their own stadium and pay their own way, you know what they don't do?
What?
Leave.
Really?
Yeah.
Huh. So it's almost like they're invested.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah, imagine that. Ed on Rumble here says, Ballpark Village is like a Walmart. It killed the competition near it. Duh. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yep, that's what happened.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yep. All right, 314-912-1019. You can still cheer for the Cardinals and not want to give them taxpayer money. What do you think they're doing with the $17 beers? $12 hot dogs. I mean, seriously.
Yeah.
Come on. All right. The Biden administration announcing new rules for Title IX, so you know that's going to be great, right?
Yeah, of course it is.
Yeah, we'll talk about that in just a minute.
For podcast articles and more, find us on newstalkstl.com. Get up, St. Louis. It's Mike Ferguson in the morning. The Vic Porcelli Show.
So finding impartial jurors for Donald Trump's sham case in New York, is that mission impossible? We'll ask our favorite counselor, Susie Moore. We'll do that Friday at 10:05.
Weekday mornings at 9 on News Talk STL.
A combat veteran with 2 bronze medals, a father of 4, and a constitutional conservative powerhouse. Come and hear Attorney General Andrew Bailey up close and in person. Picture this, the crowd's buzzing, vibes electric, as he steps up to bat on Thursday, May 2nd at 7 p.m. He hit a home run with removing a failed circuit attorney and continues to fight for law and order like no other. Put May 2nd on your calendar now and go to stlouisrepublicans.com for details.
Paid for by St. Louis City Republican PAC. Curtis Farber, Treasurer.
Kickstart your spring with Spring into Green savings on a John Deere compact tractor at Seidenstricker Nobe Partners. For a limited time, we have 0% financing for 84 months with 0 down on select models. Plus, when you purchase an in-stock model year 23 compact tractor, you'll save up to an additional $2,500. Take home the tractor of your dreams today. Visit snpartners.com for more information.
Offer valid through 4/26/2024. Some restrictions apply. See dealer for details.
Missouri Wild Alchemy is a local and family-owned business dedicated to providing consumers with high-quality cannabis and education. They strive to make customers feel comfortable and to help curtail the stigma of cannabis use by having a professional and well-educated staff. They're proud to carry products from several Missouri cultivators and manufacturers. Missouri Wild Alchemy, now serving recreational customers 21 and above, as well as patients. Follow them on Facebook and Instagram, or visit MissouriWild.com. That's MissouriWild.com.
Tony Colombo here, reminding you to visit my friends at Bluff City Outdoors in Alton before your next trip into the great outdoors. For decades, Bluff City Outdoors has covered all the needs for area fishermen, and they'll always have all the best bait, tackle, and gear for your next trip on the water. And now they cover all your bow hunting needs, including their state-of-the-art indoor archery range and techno hunt system, open every day for you to come shoot, or you can join a league. Follow Bluff City Outdoors on Facebook and learn more at bluffcityoutdoors.com.
When you go shopping, you may not get the bargain you want, but at least you know and can compare prices. It should be that way with healthcare, but too often it's not. Need an operation on your knee? Want to know what it's going to cost? Good luck. For 3 years, hospitals have been required to provide patients with list prices and have negotiated charges for some 300 services. Only 36%, just over a third, are fully compliant. In Missouri, prices differ greatly depending on a patient's insurance. The cost of a pelvic CT scan, for example, can be 20 times more expensive in one hospital than another. Price transparency allows patients to compare providers, forces hospitals to compete on price, and helps insurers negotiate lower rates. State law should require all all healthcare providers to publish prices in a user-friendly form. What we don't know is costing us. The price of healthcare shouldn't be a secret. Check out our 2024 blueprint, moving Missouri forward at showmeinstitute.org. The Show Me Minute has been brought to you by Show Me Institute and Show Me Opportunity.
The tides are changing.
St. Louis's new choice for conservative talk.
The Democratic Party doesn't stand with what I stand for.
News Talk STL. Love the music you hear on the morning show? Check out Mike's morning music playlist at newstalkstl.com.
Watching every motion in my foolish love's game.
All right, another comment from Ed here. Stella, I want to get your reaction to it. He said the Cardinals are more concerned with ballpark village and party areas at the stadium than a quality team on the field.
I think a lot of fans feel that way. Oof. And you guys discussed the situation with businesses downtown, and I can think of numerous ones right around Ballpark Village that have closed. A couple have hung in there, like Broadway Oyster Bar and maybe one or two others just south of the stadium.
The Blues Bar there.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. But I know Maggie O'Brien's has had a rough road here. They're staying open, but golly, there are so many that surround that area that have had to close. And I think a lot of fans enjoy Ballpark Village because it's fun to go to, but still, it's affecting those downtown businesses. And there are people who actually live there. And I've seen some of those folks comment that, we love being here, but we don't really go around to any other.
No, you don't leave Ballpark Village.
Oh, gosh, no.
No, you don't. It's like when if there's a big convention at the Dome or the convention center, a lot of times they will literally hand you a pamphlet saying, don't go around these streets. Stay right here.
You know what it reminds me of is back in the day when we were majorly involved in Iraq, there was something called the Green Zone. Remember the Green Zone? So it's like you stay within the borders of the Green Zone, and you don't have to worry so much about the various attacks and high crime and getting swindled, getting beaten or kidnapped or all these other things. Why is downtown St. Louis similar to war-torn Iraq?
Right, and Patrick made a great point. And by the way, you want to hear that conversation or send it to educate your friends who think, no, this is clearly something we got to invest in. That's going to be put up on our podcast a little bit later on today. Just send that conversation to them. The thing is that the economic reviews of all the things that have happened, and it's crystal clear. There really is no economic argument for committing taxpayer money.
Right.
Just as far as when Patrick was talking about this, become a good market. Well, one of the ways you do that is have a good responsive government that is friendly to generating business. I mean, it's friendly to business. St. Louis City in a lot of ways is hostile to business. It's hostile to landowners landlords.
Yes, absolutely.
I mean, it's just it's hostile to the things that make a community grow organically because it wants to do the leftist thinking, top-down, central planning, ideologically driven government, and people are fleeing the city like crazy.
Well, leftists seem to have this tendency to think of things in a backwards way. They think the driver or the result is actually the driver of the thing.
Right.
So it's so weird. It's like successful cities have stadiums. So if we get a stadium, we'll become a successful city.
Yes, that is so much of the pitch to a lot of them. It's like, look at this city. If we want to be like that, matter of fact, Kansas City. One of the things they've done for 20 years is they say, look at St. Louis. They have a great downtown stadium. That's what we have to have.
Yeah.
And of course, the fans and the voters just said, no, we're not buying this anymore.
No.
And so this, what? I'm throwing out the Title IX thing. We'll talk about that Monday.
Okay.
We'll do that Monday. Because that's one of the things that cities tend to do is they'll say, we have to be like them. Therefore, we have to have this stuff.
Yeah.
And if there's no private investment to do it, well, then we have to do it. No, you don't have to do it.
It's an idea how it works.
Okay, so let's look at, for instance, the A's in Oakland. Well, prior to being the Oakland A's, they're about to become the Sacramento A's.
Actually, for a couple of years.
Yeah, for 2 or 3 years. Literally, they're just going to be the Athletics. They're not even going to claim Sacramento's team name or city name. So they're going to move to Sacramento. They're in Oakland. Before they were in Oakland, they were in Kansas City. A lot of people forget they were the Kansas City A's.
And before that,
the Philadelphia A's. And so this is going to be the most moved team, especially after they go to Las Vegas after this. Las Vegas has even said, you should stay in Oakland. We don't really want you. Literally, the mayor said, we're not sure this is a good fit.
Stay there.
We're not sure if we want bad baseball.
Yeah, terrible baseball. And
Oh,
so,
man.
so one of the things you look at is the A's and the Raiders are kind of a case study in this. Kroenke was kind of a slower case study of this as well. It's if we don't get this, then some other city's going to do it and we're going to leave. Look at, Indianapolis or Baltimore to Indianapolis for, the Colts. And,
in the middle of the night.
Right. In the middle of the night, literally in the middle of the night, because they were trying to pass a law to make it illegal for him to leave, which was stupid. But when you look at like the A's, they said we have to have a new stadium. And Oakland is in shambles worse than St. Louis is. And that stadium is awful. It's a
terrible stadium.
Yes. I used to work with people who broadcast from there, and they said, Mike, what people tell you about it doesn't even come close to telling you how bad this thing is. But the issue isn't, does the team need a new stadium? Sure. The issue is who pays for it. And as Patrick pointed out, because the DeWitts, the ownership of the Cardinals, they privately financed, they say about 90% of the cost of Busch Stadium. It looks like it's closer to 80 as it all turned out. Still, that's better than most places. But Patrick made a great point when he said, see, it works when you do it yourself.
Right.
Because people also tend to forget that when this Busch Stadium was being pitched, they looked at land in Illinois, in Madison County. And there was a talk about, well, if you're not going to play ball with us, we're just going to maybe have to go across the river.
And they also looked at the former Chrysler plant.
Right.
Out in Fenton.
Yes. And nobody in the right mind is going to make a hundreds of millions of dollars investment in Illinois. And I'm not being flippant. You're just not going to do it.
Right.
With that level of taxes, that level of regulation, that level of everything. You're just not going to do it. So what could the Cardinals do? Well, we'd hate to have to move to Chesterfield.
Or St. Charles.
Or St. Charles.
Somewhere out in the county. Can you imagine if it was in Illinois and we only had one or two bridges for all the fans to get over there? Oh, what a disaster that would have been.
Try going across the bridge right now.
Oh, yeah.
Because they've got a couple lanes shut down because they're doing a bunch of maintenance on it. I went and played in Sauget last weekend. I did not realize that that traffic was happening. It's only going towards the east. So coming in from east to west, you're fine. But going west to east, they shut down a couple of lanes. You only have a couple of lanes because they've shut down one of the highways, one of the bridges, one of the highways there. So you've got to go kind of around if you want to go up to, Fairview Heights or whatever. But, when you look at for instance, tomorrow, if I were not playing my own baseball game tomorrow, I would be downtown because I'd go to the Battlehawks game and then maybe go try to catch the last few innings of the Cardinals game. Both of them are early games. Right. Battlehawks kick off at 11:30. Cardinals play at 1:15.
Right.
So you can go enjoy it and then get out before the nightfall comes. Well, why do you have to do that? Because it's too dangerous in downtown St. Louis. It's
not safe.
That's the problem, not whether or not taxpayers are going to fund sprucing up the stadium. And by the way, it's a beautiful stadium. What are they worried about?
Yeah.
I mean, what needs spruced up?
It's so silly.
General maintenance, sure, but when you build a stadium, you maintain it. You buy a car, you maintain it. You buy a house, you maintain it. That's part of owning something.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, and part of the thing that's been lost in all this is the discussions of what it takes to actually develop a city. Yeah. What does it take to make a city a place you want to be in the first place, and therefore a place you want to stay and spend money in. And so what we've had so far is a city that is run in such a way that it's been emptying out. You can't make money if there's nobody there to spend it. Yeah. So that's kind of how these things work. It follows people. Money follows people, so you have to appeal to people. Yep. And one thing people like is not worrying about dying by walking around in the street at night.
Go ahead, Mike.
Say Jay Monty real quick. He said the best thing the Braves did was move to the suburbs outside of Atlanta. The inner city of Atlanta is littered with crime. No businesses survive around the city stadiums. So true, because I went to the last time I went to a Braves game, it was still downtown. And man, was I scared to death getting to the stadium. The last time I drove through Atlanta, I stayed near the stadium overnight going down to mine. The Braves weren't there, but it's on the northwest suburbs of Atlanta, and it looked like a really cool stadium. And so, if the Cardinals were to say, well, after 100 some odd years, we're going to leave downtown and we're going to go to the county, or we're going to go to St. Charles, or you know what? I'm going to the games.
Oh, gosh, yeah.
And, as much as it hurts to look back at that Wall Street Journal article, sadly, it was spot on regarding downtown St. Louis.
Yep.
So if you want to invest in something, how about more police officers?
There you go.
How about additional emergency services? How about picking up the trash and filling the potholes? How about fewer regulations on businesses? I mean, how about getting rid of the taxes? How about making your city more attractive to come to? Right now, you're looking at the decorations, you're looking at the trimmings on the Christmas tree to say, look, this is everything in the house.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not.
Yeah.
All right, just ahead here, speaking of police officers, one of the police unions in St. Louis City just endorsed Jay Ashcroft for governor. The secretary, Jay Ashcroft, going to be with us right here on News Talk STL at about 7:36.
Follow us on Rumble at News Talk STL. Get up. It's Mike Ferguson in the morning. From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
Yesterday's damaging thunderstorms are long gone, and now cooler air is in control as winds are locked in out of the north. A decent amount of sunshine today, though, should be enough to push highs into the low 60s. I think it'll feel nice. Back into the 50s for your evening plans and staying dry, down to 43 for the low early Saturday morning. And this cooler air mass sticks around through the weekend. I've got 61 for the high Saturday, up to 63 on Sunday. That's your first alert forecast. I'm meteorologist Matt Chambers.
This is moving season for many homeowners and businesses. Contact my sponsor, McGuire Moving and Storage. McGuire will come to you, give you a free, honest appraisal. McGuire, fully licensed, insured, local or long distance, with climate-controlled storage. McGuire Moving and Storage has the Larry Connors USA seal of approval. 314-241-0600. 241-0600. McGuireMoving.com.
This is Larry Connors' commentary on News Talk STL.
We're still a long ways from November, but every poll that comes out draws some attention, obviously. And there's a new Emerson survey out, and voters were asked to identify what are your main concerns this time around. Voters identifying the top two as the economy and immigration. And when it comes to that polling, Emerson noted Trump has a 24-point lead over Biden, with voters who say the cost of living is increasing. Voters think the cost of living is rising. They support Trump over Biden, 56% to 32%. That's a pretty big margin. And then in a hypothetical two-way race, 46% of those surveyed back Trump. 43% support Biden. And, of course, there are those who are still undecided. 12%. How in the world can you be undecided at this point? And I don't know if that undecided number is going to change that much going forward. It's very clear you've got two candidates at polar opposites. And that describes basically what our nation is doing at this point. And yet some out there are still walking around, well, I don't know, I'm lost.
Get more Larry Connors on Larry Connors USA.
Tonight at 6 on News Talk STL.
Pigeons, they are everywhere, and they're very good at dive bombing freshly washed cars. Wellington Environmental reminds you those droppings are more than a nuisance. They can be a major health issue, especially massive droppings on buildings or in parking garages. So who do you call to safely clean it up? You do what many hospitals, universities, public buildings already do. You call Wellington Environmental. Wellington Environmental has been dealing with all kinds of hazards for 35 years. Special people, special skills, special equipment. Wellington gets it done. So to avoid health issues ranging from pigeon droppings to mold to chemical leaks, contact Wellington. 314-644-4930. 644-4930. WellingtonSTL.com. Wellington Environmental. Your world cleaner, better, safer. Be well with Wellington.
Springtime in St. Louis means one thing. That's right. Golf is back, baby. Whether you're a beginner or a scratch golfer, you're sure to enjoy your golf experience at Sugar Creek Golf Course. Sugar Creek is a scenic and challenging course and well suited to golfers of all abilities. Located in High Ridge, just 10 minutes from 270 and Gravois. At Sugar Creek Golf Course, our courteous and professional staff has one goal: to make sure your golf experience is enjoyable. To book your tee time or to learn more about the special event and banquet facilities, simply visit sugarcreekgolfcourse.com.
John Beal knows that right after a hailstorm, new roofing companies start popping up everywhere. But the Small Business Administration reports 96% of them go out of business within the first 5 years. So how good is that warranty? John Beal started in the roofing business helping his granddad and his dad. Always offering the best roof, best price, best guarantee. John Beal Roofing, not some fly-by-the-night operation. Call my friend John, 1-800-NEW-ROOF, 1-800-NEW-ROOF.
Sundays at 5 on News Talk STL.
All your hard-earned tax dollars and mine are going to fund illegal aliens who come across the border penniless, jobless, skillless, and they're given a cell phone, an identity, and a cash stipend every month.
Mark McCloskey on fire.
That beats your Social Security income if you should have the good nature to work your ass off your whole life and retire.
Mark McCloskey on fire. Sundays at 5 on News Talk STL.
Brought to you in part by Modern Weapon Systems in Fenton.
St. Louis's new choice for conservative talk.
Thank you for the opportunity to let me vent here.
Live and local.
Way to be, guys. 1019 all the way.
This is News Talk STL.
I am home.
Hi, it's Randy Tobler here. Pour a big cup of coffee and catch my show every Saturday morning from 6 to 9. Right now, it's back to Mike Ferguson in the morning here on News Talk STL.
Sheena Easton or Sheila E?
Sheila E.
Sheila E.
Yep.
That was my first guess.
Yep.
It's the glamorous life, and I'm waiting for Gabe to start dancing.
This is a banger right here.
On this Flashback Friday, all 80s music, bump music. By the way, you want to get your request in for next week. How much of today's bump music is requested?
100%.
100%. And we are now at all requests. Mm-hmm. So message us on social media or email Stell or me, and we'll try to get your 80s bump music requests in for a next Flashback Friday. 7:39 right now. One of St. Louis's police unions makes their pick for governor. They announced that yesterday. By the way, we are number one for live and local conservative talk 7 days a week. Do not forget the Right Mind Show with Todd Showalter Saturday afternoon at 5 o'clock. By the way, go to newstalkstl.com right now, and you're going to see Todd's latest political cartoon. Let's just say he has something to say about the state of radio in St. Louis.
A little bit. Yeah.
A little bit spicy there. Yeah. I'm just saying. All right. Well, the Ethical Society of Police makes their announcement yesterday that they are making an endorsement pick in the race for governor. And they have picked Secretary of State Jay Ashcroft, who joins us right now. And Jay, appreciate you being on the program. I'm going to get to this in just a minute, but just want to let you know that if there's any, because you and I are about the same age, so if there's any 80s bump music request you want for Flashback Friday, just let me know what was on your mixtape back in high school, because we all had them.
We all had one.
You know, right now, thinking about crime and what we need to do, I think of Charlie Daniels. He had a song called Simple Man about how you just have to understand that you protect the law-abiding citizens and you go after the criminals.
I think that's also a way of saying that he's also, your dad, obviously in the ministry as well, like mine. It's like weren't allowed to have rock music mixtapes.
It's a country music household here.
That's right. That's right.
I was listening to Southern Gospel.
That's true. I listened when my parents were there. It's exactly what I listened to as well. Anyway. Okay.
When you were at the library studying.
Yes. Let's stick with that. Okay. So Ethical Society of Police. Now this, I think is, it's kind of funny because Tony Messenger over at the Post Disgrace is already lamenting this as we expected. It was kind of record time on this. But there are this caught a lot of people's attention. One, because it's a union and they're not typically going to jump on the Republican side. Secondly, it's a law enforcement union, and the Ethical Society of Police, known as the Black Police Officers Union, and that's a whole other thing right now. But when you're having the conversations with them, as you do with any other, interested organization out there, what was it that you all connected with? Because they were I thought their statement was very refreshingly blunt, in that they say, we don't agree with any political candidate on 100%, of anybody, nobody. And I thought that was refreshing, because that's just the truth. And but there was enough that they liked about your campaign to say, we're going to get behind you in this particular race for governor. And this was not just in the primary. This is the general election as well. So what is it about the conversations with law enforcement that have you, in this part of the mix?
Well, my understanding is that they're tired of talk. They're tired of politicians that just say stuff but don't actually do anything. They understand there's a problem. They want to serve the people of the city of St. Louis. They've been trying to, and politicians and elected officials are getting in their way. They're defunding the police. They aren't supporting them. They're not being provided what they need to actually protect law enforcement officials. And I think they found it refreshing that I spent roughly a year of my life as I traveled the state meeting with law enforcement back in 2022, prosecutors, sheriffs, police officers, not telling them what they had to do, but asking them, you're the solution. How do we support you? How do we empower you? What does it take to make the people of St. Louis be able to feel safe at their home? And I just think that they're tired of lip service. They're glad to have someone that'll listen to them and actually act to get the job done.
Morning, Jay. Gabe Pfeiffer here. So I imagine your newly announced public safety campaign platform had a little bit to do with what the union was thinking in their endorsement. So could you give us some of the highlights of that?
Well, we first and foremost, we want to take back the St. Louis City Police Department and put it back under state control. The city has defunded it, regardless of what the city wants to say. We can point to actual factual points of data showing that they've defunded it. We want to put more law enforcement officials on the street. We want to make sure that we actually have officers on the street, that we have dispatchers, that we have all the people that are necessary to make sure that we can get crime under control and make St. Louis the city that I remember it from 40 years ago. We want to do things like truth in sentencing so that when police officers actually go to the work to catch criminals, to do the investigation, and they're prosecuted, they actually do a reasonable amount of time and they're punished and they're kept out of society so they won't continue to victimize law-abiding citizens. We want to make sure that when there are prosecutors, and thank God, City of St. Louis has a circuit attorney now that I think is doing a fabulous job.
Oh, did we lose you?
Yeah. Did we lose him?
Yep. Can't hear you.
We want to get back to that time where we have a prosecutor that if they're refusing to do their job, we can remove them and make sure that the people of this state are protected. I mean, there's a whole gauntlet of things that are common sense. We just haven't had the leadership and the fortitude to back the police and get it done.
Okay, so from a statewide level, if you're elected governor, I mean, I agree with everything you just said regarding the city and law enforcement and defunding, and there are some things that are the purview of the city. When it comes to the state, though, what can you do to rectify that in the city of St. Louis? Because nobody's talking about we need to come in and deal with St. Charles County because they fund their police and they arrest people. But if St. Louis isn't doing it, other than taking over the police department itself, is there anything else the state can do given the odd status of the city?
Well, first of all political power that the city of St. Louis has comes from state government. I love the idea of local control. I like to say that the best local control is mom and dad, although I didn't always agree with that when I was a teenager. But I want local control to be in charge and to work. But when political subdivisions, when municipalities are not doing the job and public safety is a core responsibility of government, then it's incumbent upon the state to step in and say, if you're not doing what you ought to be doing, we're going to do it. Just like the state stepping in where the federal government isn't protecting the border. So yes, we can take over the police department. We've seen legislation on that. As governor, I will make sure I will work with the legislature. I will call for that to get passed. I will make sure it gets passed. We can make changes to state law with regard to truth in sentencing to make sure that when people are rightfully adjudicated, found guilty, and sentenced by a judge, that the Department of Corrections doesn't just let them go. When people, we have people that are sentenced to 10 or 15 years that are let go after a year and a half. Witnesses are scared to help when they know that the criminal is just going to be back in their neighborhood in 6 to 12 months. There are a lot of things the state can do. There's funding that can be done. There's changes to statute with regard to prosecutors. And some of that I introduced 2 years ago working with Lane Roberts. We're going to continue to do that so that no one in the city of St. Louis has to feel unsafe in their own house.
Okay, we're visiting with Secretary of State Jay Ashcroft, obviously running for governor. I'm looking at your website here, ashcroftmissouri.com, under your red print. One of the top ones you've gotten, you've been referencing needing to get over the defunding and fix that. 1,000 new police officers in year one. Who pays for that?
Part of that's going to have to be supported by the state, I think. Some of it's going to be done by the hiring authority. In St. Louis alone, Right now we have, I was told as of yesterday, 355 vacancies.
Mm-hmm.
We cannot even get the individuals when the city wants to hire them. So the state's going to have to work to make sure that we have programs to, specifically thinking about veterans who already have some training, getting them to come to Missouri if they're already coming here to move into law enforcement, working to make sure that law enforcement in other states, law enforcement in New York and other places are getting sick and tired of what they're going through, making sure they understand that in Missouri they will be appreciated, that they will be taken care of. We've seen other states do that, and yet Missouri is just sitting here twiddling its thumbs. That's got to stop.
Hey, good morning, Jay. Stal Ponticus here. We got a question from a listener who wants to know why we still have voting machines in Missouri instead of going to all paper ballots. Your thoughts on that?
Well, we do actually have paper ballots. We passed a law in 2022 so that the official ballot of the state is a paper ballot. When we're counting ballots, we're not looking at some sort of digital image or some sort of flash memory. We are actually looking at the paper ballot. When there's a recount, we are actually going back to that paper ballot. We have paper ballots. That's the official ballot. We got that changed in 2022. Now, with regard to people being able to use accessible voting equipment to mark that paper ballot, that's required by federal law, and the federal government has that authority under the U.S. Constitution.
Okay. Secretary of State Jay Ashcroft, the website is ashcroftformissouri.com. And, of course, if you want to read about his latest, the endorsement from the Ethical Society Police of St. Louis, you can find that on the social media platforms as well. Jay, appreciate you giving us the update, because in St. Louis, I just don't think there's a bigger issue than crime and safety and the effect that that's having on the rest of the region as well. We were just talking about that with the folks from the Show Me Institute on the economic impact that's having. So it's not just something that affects the actual city or the special interest.
It affects everyone. Crime and education, two top issues in St. Louis and in most of our state.
All right. Jay Ashcroft, running for governor, ashcroftformissouri.com if you want to learn more. We'll talk to you again soon, Jay. Thanks so much.
Thanks, Jay.
Thank you very much.
All right, just ahead here, 7:50 on a Friday.
Not today, Satan.
On this Flashback Friday. And Gabe is going to dance into it with the sounds of Sheila E.
That girl can play them timbales, man.
Yes, she can. That's
My
true.
goodness.
That's true. I think she's still rocking it these days, isn't she?
Yes, she is. Yeah.
She is, yeah. She's out there. All right, not today, Satan. Just ahead here on 101.9, 94.1 News Talk STL.
Like and subscribe to us on Rumble. News Talk STL. Mike Ferguson in the morning. This week on News Talk STL.
I stand here.
It starts at the top. It starts with Biden.
I call on Congress to authorize this effort as soon as possible.
Israeli and American forces in the Middle East are on heightened alert after Iran vowed revenge for that Israeli airstrike.
Democrats have created a political battlefield here.
News, analysis, and opinion.
Law enforcement officers dying on his watch for being gunned down by people that have been arrested 20 times.
101.9 and 94.1.
St. Louis is number one for conservative talk.
News Talk STL.
Okay, let's say the St. Louis Cardinals decided that they wanted to move to a different property and they wanted to move out of St. Louis. Do you know who they should call? My friends Rodney and Jen Wald. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Should have seen that coming down.
Sorry.
Saw that coming down Market Street.
They could call 314-810-SOLD. And Rodney and Jen would find him the perfect property.
Great stadium looking over here.
Jeez, all right. All right, but seriously, when you're looking to make an investment, and that's what your home is, that's whether it's, you're looking to upsize or downsize or move closer to the job or go to a different school district, or you're investing because you want to do some rental properties or you want to do an Airbnb, whatever it is when it comes to real estate. Listen, this is more than just chalking up something on paper. This is a truly an investment, and that's why you need to work with people like Rodney and Jen. And you noticed I said work with people like Rodney and Jen. Call them today, 314-810-SOLD. And you're going to find that there's a difference. Tell them, hey, listen, I heard Mike was talking about you on the radio. What's different about you? The thing is with Rodney and Jen is that any real estate agent can go look in their, what they call it, the MLS system or whatever it's called, and they can look up properties and show you stuff. And what happens in most places is people go into real estate because they want to be a salesperson and they want to, make a living doing that. Well, God bless them. Great. A lot of them have those little magnetic things on the cars. Good for them. Whatever. But Rodney and Jen sell upwards of 15 times more homes than other real estate professionals for a reason, is that they understand this isn't just about making a sale. This is about your family. That's the approach they've taken, and they have built a successful living doing that by taking care of people. It is the absolute American dream to have a successful business by doing right by people. This is who you need to talk to. 314-810-SOLD. There is a difference. There really is. They invest in the families they serve. They empower you to make the right decisions, and they will work with you for the right timeline, for the right property. And if you're selling a home, listen, they've got so many pre-approved buyers, you may not even need to list it. They're licensed in both Missouri and Illinois. So call them today, 314-810-SOLD.
Looking to get a new carpet, hardwood, or tile installed quickly and efficiently in your home? Look no further than Michael's Flooring Outlet. Michael's Flooring Outlet is a family-owned and operated business with a 30-year history of offering a diverse array of high-quality options in flooring. My parents and in-laws used Michael's to rip up their old carpet and replace it, and they are both happy with the product and installation from Michael's. You can shop at one of their 3 locations in Creve Coeur, Darting Prairie, or St. Peters, or you can check them out at igotfloored.com. That's igotfloored.com.
This hour of Mike Ferguson in the Morning brought to you by Window World. Simply the best for less. 314-993-1800 or visit windowworld.com.
Bill O'Reilly here. Check out the O'Reilly Update this afternoon at 3:45. Right now, it's back to Mike Ferguson in the Morning on News Talk STL.
Little rush right here on Flashback Friday.
That's a throwback. Man.
Another request. New World Man.
I think if Geddy Lee sticks with that bass, he'll do okay with it.
He might.
Yeah. Hey, it's 7:54 on a Friday.
It's the weird, the wacky, and the worrisome. These are the stories that make you say.
Look all the devil.
Oh, hell no. This can't be happening, man. This isn't happening. Devil.
Just another way to be sure.
Not today, Satan. Not today. Amen.
We've talked about weird things in people's luggage before, but this is absolutely a first at Boston's Logan International Airport, where a traveler was found to be carrying mummified monkey remains.
What?
No! God, please, no! No!
Mummified monkey remains. Okay, so a canine officer named Buddy sniffed out the dead and dehydrated monkeys from inside luggage belonging to a traveler who recently returned to the U.S. from the Democratic Republic of Congo. FYI, raw or improperly processed meat from certain wild animals, aka bushmeat, is not allowed to enter the U.S.
Oh, wow.
It's so gross.
See, if I were the guy that discovered that, I'd be like, you know what? I didn't see anything. I'm not touching it. Just go.
You're afraid of the curse that's going to come upon you.
I've seen way too many 70s movies.
Exactly, yes. There's always a curse, and there's a shrunken, mummified head involved or something like that. Look, airport agents around the country have actually encountered a variety of meats. In 2022, agents at Washington Dulles confiscated charred bat. In 2019, officers at O'Hare intercepted about 32 pounds of rat meat.
Why?
Why, though?
Why?
Look, and speaking of rats, a town in Australia is currently suffering under a bona fide rat plague. So the coastal town of Corumba in Queensland, Australia, with a human population in the hundreds, is bending under the weight of tens of thousands of rats. So environmental conditions have helped increase their population, turning a 3 to 17-year cycle migration into a disaster of biblical proportions. So they're eating electrical wires, chewing their way into houses and boats, and their dead are washing up into the otherwise picturesque beaches and stinking up the entire town.
Well, now they know what it's like to live live in New York City.
He's like, hey, big city living brought to you. Okay, sadly, there isn't much the people of Caramba can do except wait it out until this migration is over and hope it's over a decade until the next cycle.
Ooh.
Ay caramba.
Oh, ay caramba.
Ay caramba.
Can I have the dead monkeys back?
Exactly. At least the dead monkeys don't smell as bad. Only Buddy the dog could smell them.
Yeah.
All right, now in our last story here, scientists at a U.S. university are doing experiments using reanimated spider corpses.
Well, isn't that special?
This is a gross one today. Mechanical engineering doctoral candidate Faye Yap came up with the idea while working in the Preston Innovation Lab at Rice University. After having investigated why spider limbs naturally contract when they die, Yap figured she could use compressed air to control the legs and thus create a robot gripper to pick up delicate materials. The experiment worked and the first necrobots were born.
Oh.
Seriously, they named them necrobots because they watch sci-fi movies like I do. The principal investigator at the lab, Daniel Preston, argues that this isn't just a scientific novelty. We don't have to build pneumatically actuated gripper from scratch. We just use nature in this sense to harvest the spiders. And I argue that these scientists were so concerned with whether they could do it that they didn't stop to think about whether they should. Because when it comes to zombie arachnid robots, you know what I'm saying.
Because the devil.
Oh, hell no. This can't be happening, man. This ain't happening. Devil.
Just another way to be sure.
Not today, Satan. Not today. Amen.
Don't need any stinking zombie spiders.
Jewels on Hampton and St. Louis Hills is paying some of the highest prices on gold, silver, diamonds, semi-precious colored stones, coins, flatware, and fine watches on site. Jewels on Hampton is a premier jeweler featuring Alvanza's jewel art designs with an exquisite selection of diamonds, semi-precious stone jewelry, and vintage watches. Their expert design team can restyle your jewelry to today's contemporary style. They also do jewelry and watch repair. Need extra cash? Jewels on Hampton is paying some of the highest prices on gold, silver, diamonds, semi-precious colored stones, coins, flatware, and fine watches. Bring in your collectibles and clocks and sports memorabilia and figurines too. Jewels on Hampton, 4506 Hampton, just 3 blocks south of Chippewa, and jewelsonhampton.com. Call them at 314-752-5000, 314-752-5000, and jewelsonhampton.com. Jewels on Hampton.
KLGY HD3 Clayton, K270BW Bellefonte, KNBS Bowling Green. This is News Talk STL at 1019, 94.1, and always streaming at newstalkstl.com.
News this hour from townhall.com. I'm Rich Thomason. Tension in the Middle East ramping up in the aftermath of last week's unprecedented Iranian drone and missile attacks on Israel, and now Israel's apparent response.
Syria's state-run Sana news agency has quoted a military statement as saying Israel carried out a missile strike targeting an air defense unit in its south, causing material damage. Meanwhile, Iran has fired air defenses at a major airbase and a nuclear site near its central city of Isfahan after spotting drones. Some flights have been diverted or grounded after reports of explosions nearby. The commotion early Friday raises fears of a possible Israeli retaliatory strike following Tehran's unprecedented drone and missile assault on the country. I'm Charles Dilladesma.
Jury selection nearing completion at the New York criminal trial of former President Trump. 12 jurors have been seated, 5 alternates left to be chosen. Mr. Trump continues to complain about the trial, insisting it's a politically motivated sham, and it's being presided over, he says, by a Trump-hating judge.
The whole world is watching this, folks. You got a DA that's out of control. You have a judge that's highly conflicted. The whole thing is a mess. And you have the leading candidate and leading crooked Joe Biden by a lot. He's the one that's in being in trouble. He's a crook. You got a crooked president.
The trial focuses on a routine non-disclosure agreement that paid a woman $130,000 during the 2016 campaign. Mr. Trump insists he did nothing wrong. The money did not come from campaign funds. Foreign aid bill on Ukraine is headed to the House for a vote. That vote expected tomorrow. Some Republicans are upset the measure fails to include U.S. border security provisions. Watching Wall Street ahead of the opening bell, Dow futures are down 17 points. NASDAQ futures off 23, and the S&P futures are down a fraction. More on these stories at townhall.com.
Relief Factor, pain relief that's natural, pain relief that works, and pain relief that attacks the source of the pain. That's the experience of tens of thousands of Americans who are taking Relief Factor right now. See their incredible video endorsements at relieffactor.com and then order your 3-week quick starter pack for just $19.95. That's less than $1 a day. Find out if it can work for you like it works for me by ordering your 3-week quick starter pack today. relieffactor.com, relieffactor.com. Be the next success story.
Jessica, this is the happiest day of my life. Right up there with the day I bought my RV and insured it with Progressive. Man, I love that thing. There are a million fish in the sea, which I'm reminded of every time I bring my RV to the lake, but I vow to love and cherish you just as much as I cherish campsites with full electric and water hookups. I'm so sorry.
Protect your beloved with an RV policy from Progressive. Take as little as 4 minutes to see what you could save.
From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
Yesterday's damaging thunderstorms are long gone, and now cooler air is in control as winds are locked in out of the north. A decent amount of sunshine today, though, should be enough to push highs into the low 60s. I think it'll feel nice. Back into the 50s for your evening plans and staying dry, down to 43 for the low early Saturday morning. And this cooler air mass sticks around through the weekend. I've got 61 for the high Saturday, up to 63 on Sunday. That's your First Alert forecast. I'm meteorologist Matt Chambers.
This hour of News Talk STL is brought to you by Stifel, serving investors for over 130 years. Contact your Stifel financial advisor at stifel.com. That's STIFEL.com.
Tim Jones here with Stewie, the bagel loan guy. Stewie, mom and dad always told me don't refinance unless you can save at least 1 percentage point. What say you?
We're going to break that rule of thumb with the bagel loan. No closing costs at all. Now, your mom always told you that because there was $4,000 in fees you had to pay. If you're saving $100 a month, takes you 40 months to recoup it. With the bagel loan, no closing costs at all.
What happens if rates drop?
Tim, just do it again. As long as it doesn't cost you anything, you'll be way ahead of the game, and that's what counts.
314-324-4440, or better yet, just Google the bagel loan.
MLS number 226715.
Hey, Tony Colombo here for Gutter Pros. When Christine and I bought our new house, we knew the gutters were an issue, and after meeting the Gutter Pros team, we knew that they were right for us. Gutter Pros is your all-in-one gutter service team that offers a variety of affordable solutions, and they even offer free estimates, so there's no cost to you to find out if they are right for your home, just like they were for ours. If you're having a problem with your gutters, contact the Gutter Pros now, because with Gutter Pros, water goes where they tell it to. Call them at 314-656-7195 or visit gutterpros.com.
Mike Ferguson.
I have come here to chew bubblegum and kick ass. And I'm all out of bubblegum.
Gabe Pfeiffer.
We have a hope.
Get up, in case you hear the alarm. Get up.
What do you call a genius in President Biden's Homeland Security Department? A visitor.
Mike Ferguson in the morning on News Talk STL.
Get up, in case you hear the alarm. Get up.
It's Friday!
I'm still chuckling about that conversation with Jay Ashcroft a little bit ago.
Yeah.
So Jay and I are about the same age, right?
Mm.
And his dad, of course, you know him as the U.S. Senator and the Attorney General and the governor and everything. But his dad was also a very, very conservative minister.
Right.
John Ashcroft.
Mm.
And my dad was a very, very conservative, strict Baptist minister
Yes.
as well. So Jay knew exactly what I was talking about. We're talking about hiding your mixtapes because we weren't allowed to listen to the rock and roll on there. And you notice, like, even at our age in our 50s, he was like, yeah, I'm talking about something else. I don't know. My dad might be listening.
Let me segue to the Southern gospel roots here.
And he picked out Charlie Daniels, a band that could go both country and rock and roll.
That's right. Exactly. So after a minute, I'm like, ooh, I was going to like make the joke about that. I'm like, ooh, I think he's like, no, Ted might be listening.
It's like, I actually was studying when I went to the library.
He probably was. Yeah, Jay probably was.
Yeah, that's true.
I was not. I'll just put that. All right, it's 8:06 right now.
What's a library?
Yeah. Okay. This Flashback Friday. Gabe Searstell's here. So is Danny Devine?
Yeah. Hi. Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
Nice to join you, gentlemen, again. And so I was running a little bit late this morning because I had to stop and get my Starbucks. was looking, and I'm like, you know what? World War III's popping off in the Middle East. I'll be damned if I'm going to start my day with a gas station coffee. So I sat in line for an extra 10 minutes. And I know Starbucks, say what you want about them, but they make pretty good coffee, I got to be honest.
Caldi's is better. That's all I'm saying.
They did ask me for a tip, though.
The coffee wars.
Yeah. I got a black coffee here, 1 shot of espresso. It cost me about $7.38.
Oh, my gosh.
Oh, and then
that hurts.
The poor kid at the counter, because you could tell he's embarrassed by it. He flips the iPad around. He's like, oh, there's a couple questions you got to answer before you check out. It's like, do you want to leave a tip? Oh, I'd love to leave a 40% tip for your coffee pouring experience.
Yeah, where gravity does the work for you.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I saw another one of those tipping culture stories the other day. It was at an airport where somebody, apparently their luggage was like half a pound over. And I don't remember which airline it was. And the person there working for the airline goes, hey, for a nice tip, I can, not notice that and just put it in there. And they laughed and they sent the luggage back, and the guy said, were you serious? And they go, yeah, here's where you put the tip. And so he ended up tipping the airline employee there for allowing the luggage to go through, even though it was a half a pound over.
My wife has a standard line that she always uses. You want a tip? Plant your corn early.
Yes.
There's my tip
There's
for
my
you.
tip for the
Buy
day.
low, sell high.
Yes, buy low. Yeah, exactly.
Well,
Those are the tips I give.
The airport situation, I mean, I could see that. I would throw a guy, an extra $5-10 bill under the table just so I don't get penalized for the luggage situation. Although that I'm like always 20 pounds under. I pack light. That had to be a woman who had that.
Yes.
But although a half a pound over, usually it's about 10 pounds over. My girlfriend, whenever we go out anywhere, it could be for a weekend trip. It's like she's got to pack 60, 70 pounds worth of luggage. I'm like, we're going to a beach. You don't need much clothes.
You're literally wearing as few clothes as you can. I mean, like when I went down to Fort Myers to play in that baseball tournament, one of my pieces of luggage was literally my equipment bag. I'm the catcher, and it was still under 50 pounds.
I really don't know how some of these women do it. And I'm generalizing here. I'm sure there's men out there that are a little bit extra that need to pack, everything in sight. But
it's the multiple pairs of shoes and the hair equipment.
Is that what it is?
I think that's what it is.
Yeah.
Because you've got extra 15 pounds of electronics and high heat ceramics. So I think that's what's happening there.
Okay, so you mentioned, let's go over some of the news. I'll get your reaction to some of this, Danny. We mentioned earlier this morning, Israel responds to Iran. Now, first of all, there's the horrific dishonest reporting we're seeing in the media everywhere. Mm-hmm. Israel's war against, okay, well, first of all, Israel is fighting a defensive war after being attacked. But they're saying, Israel has launched an attack on Iran. Well, they're responding to Iran launching an attack on them.
Right.
Iran says, but you attacked, some of our generals. And Israel's like, yeah, because you dropped missiles and drone, and so it's escalating over and over and over again. But one of the interesting things is that Iran apparently did not give the Biden administration a heads up, which tells me they're losing faith and trust in the administration.
Israel did not.
Israel did not. I'm sorry. Yeah, Israel did not. Yes. And which tells me that they're losing faith and trust, not just in the Biden administration, but from the rest of the world's perspective. They don't differentiate between Republican and Democratic presidents or Congresses. They just look at the country. And so, Israel could be looking at the U.S. saying, man, we just don't know if we need to trust them with what we're going to do. That's a bad sign.
You know what this is like, Mike? This is like when Albert Pujols would round third base and Jose Oquendo's throwing his arms up, stop, don't go, and he just blows right past the stop sign. That's Israel right now. No matter what the United States, Biden could say, hey, we need to calm the situation down over there. Clearly, Israel's just blowing right through whatever Biden has to say, whatever this Biden regime has to say.
Well, Biden just says don't.
Don't. I saw a meme the other day on Twitter, and it was like the FBI banging down some guy's door with a battering ram, and where the little slit is to the little slit to lock the door, there was a Cheeto there, and it just said "don't." And the battering ram was Iran.
Yes.
Clearly saying "don't" over and over and over again. You would think by like the 40 or 45th time saying "don't," Iran would be scared off by Mr. Biden, but clearly not. It's not working. Not an effective strategy.
Well, similarly at the border, where they say, "Well, don't come over." Well, you're actually by your policies, you're inviting them over.
You're saying please.
You're saying please. And Mayorkas, his impeachment vote, that came through, and then they walked it over to the Senate, and the Senate immediately round filed it. What do you make of that?
Wouldn't even look at it.
Wouldn't even.
So I thought the whole impeachment of Mayorkas, it was we knew that the Senate would not, most likely not even hear it, let alone push it through. So it was more just political theater, I think. We've kind of cheapened, and don't get me wrong, Mayorkas, I mean, there's plenty of evidence, there's plenty of reasons out there why he should be removed. He's horrendous. The southern border is in the worst shape it's ever been. But this whole impeachment thing, and I think people are getting a little burnt out about how we throw impeachment around all willy-nilly nowadays. And it's like, do these people up in Washington, D.C., do they have anything better to do than just like go to work for the American people? How about we start with that? But yeah, Mayorkas, I thought that the Senate not even entertaining it just shows you all you needed to know.
Yeah, I mean, and we knew that was going to happen.
Yeah, we knew that was going to happen. So it was really just a giant waste of time. Again, it was more for the optics than anything else. And it's like, yeah, I think the guy should be removed immediately, but we all knew it wasn't going to go through. So what's the point?
Okay, so let me follow up on something you just said, because we've made this argument here before, and you can go back to the Trump years, and even before that, remember, there's been threats of impeachment against everybody, but nobody would actually pull the trigger on it because that is such a massive constitutional
right, it's huge. It's a massive deal.
It's the biggest thing. It's for the worst case scenario.
Right.
And Chuck Schumer was whining about saying, I've always said that we shouldn't use impeachments just to settle policy differences. And we're going, you just now discovered that? Because that wasn't your take a few years ago on this as well. And like Donald Trump or don't like Donald Trump, it's really hard to make the case that you could throw rushed impeachments at him over and over again. And so now the bar is set to where it says, I don't like what you're doing, I'm going to impeach you.
Exactly. Now it's this never-ending loop of this impeachment, just political theater type stuff. And I said this, Mike, during Trump's first administration. It was, imagine, because the guy moved mountains with all the guns pointed towards his head, all the pressure from the media, from the establishment in Washington, D.C., and then these impeachment trials that they kept throwing at, these impeachment inquiries that they kept throwing at him. Imagine what he could have done if it wasn't for all that. He already accomplished a ton. His resume from the first administration, from the first term, is incredible when you really look at it. But imagine if there were no distractions and all these these trials, these witch hunts, things like that, how much more could have been accomplished. That's the really sad part of it, because it could have been so much even better.
Is there any going back? Can we?
That's a good question.
Put the genie back in the bottle? Can we put the toothpaste back in the tube here, or is it done?
We're going to have
not until there's an overhaul. I think there's just too many people up in Washington D.C. right now that don't have the American citizens' best interest in mind, that are more concerned with saving their career and their quote unquote legacy there in Washington D.C. And they're just establishment politicians. They've been up there for decades, and until those people are out, and there's a new wave of people that genuinely care about the American people up there, then I think it's just going to keep going on and on.
Someday the history books are going to rate presidents by their records on impeachment. Well, they were 2 and 3,
under 500.
Under 500.
Oh my God!
Well, Trump's undefeated. He's 2-0. So he's like the Floyd Mayweather of impeachments.
Yeah. Okay, real quick here. So Columbia University in New York City yesterday, a bunch of the pro-Palestine, pro-Hamas, anti-Israeli protesters decided they were going to go the old school Chaz, Chop, Occupy, set up an encampment protest. We're going to take over. We're going to make them meet our demands. And the president of the university, the mayor, and the police department in the deep blue city said no, and they hauled off and physically removed and arrested over 100 of these college students. And now the university says every single one of those students has been suspended from Columbia on this. So has the young extremist leftist protesters, are they tipping the scale, overplaying their hand, and going too far finally, even for the left?
I think so. And this is something I've been saying for years, is that these people on the left, these radicals that will just keep going and going and going. You give them an inch, they're going to take a mile. And they've gone so far left off the rails that now even middle of the road people, slightly left-leaning people are realizing, hey, this is not the group that I want to be associated with. These people have hijacked our party. I was looking, what was that, Tuesday or Monday this week, where they had the pro-Palestinian protest or all over America. Golden Gate Bridge was locked down for 4 hours, New York City. And your right to assemble, your right to protest is protected under the First Amendment. But when you're actually blocking traffic for 4 hours, not allowing people to get to whatever it may be, work, a doctor's appointment, maybe there's a pregnant woman in there that needs to get to the ER immediately to get
emergency vehicles.
Yeah, who can to go home because you got to go number 2. Who knows? I really don't care what
that
the
counts as an emergency.
That's an emergency, exactly. At least that's what I tell the police officer while I'm speeding.
You drive a Tesla or Prius. You have a Tesla. You don't speed.
Oh, here we go back to the whole Prius thing. Come on, Mike. I'm trying to stay focused here. So yeah, these protesters, and it's incredible. I have actually a guest coming on the show this weekend who is from the area. Great guy. He's built a lot of great companies here in St. Louis, but he's Jewish. And he told me, I don't know if I mentioned this on the last time I was here, but he never voted Republican in his life. He voted, I believe, for Bernie Sanders in the 2016 primary, did not vote in 2020. But he told me, and this was several months ago and it's only gotten worse against Jewish people here in America since then. He said, you know what, I've never voted Republican. I didn't vote for Trump the first time, the second time, but he'll be getting my vote in this upcoming election. And that's just where a lot of people, I think, are gravitating towards, especially in the Jewish community, which has always voted Democrat. I'm not saying that Trump's going to win that voter block in November, but you see this just blatant anti-Semitism on campus, and it's incredible to see. It's like, where did these people come from that are just the violent protesters? Mm-hmm. I mean, burning American flags, which again, hate it or love it, it is protected under the First Amendment. But I see a lot of the people out there during these protests, and they got the purple hair. I saw several people that were just morbidly obese outside wearing a mask on. It's like, what? make this make sense.
Oh no!
It's like what rock did a lot of these people crawl out from underneath? And the ironic thing is that they seem to hate this country so much. But if you went over to the Middle East and some of these other countries, they're just so sheltered. They're so incubated here in America that they don't know what real life looks like. They have zero worldly knowledge. These people, like I said, they're out in the middle of the day. Shouldn't you be working, first of all?
Or going to
but
school,
second, you're outside, you're wearing a mask, you probably have 15 different pronouns that you identify as, and you're burning the American flag, you're burning the Israeli flag, and it's just... Go try that somewhere else. And I know a lot of people argue, well, that's what makes America great, the freedom of speech, freedom of expression. I get that. But I just feel like a lot of these protesters are just, they're so just oblivious to what's going on in the world right now. And it's ridiculous.
Take your trust fund over there, like you said, and see how that works out for you. And it's really weird. I mean, I know this is a little bit off of a sidebar, but I looked at a bunch of the pictures of that encampment they tried to set up. I'm like, why do they all have that look? And you know what I'm talking about.
Yes, it's that look.
Yeah, it's that leftist academy look. I mean,
that image you have in your head right now is it, and we all have the same image.
It's so true. It's so true.
Oh my goodness! All right, you got a few minutes to hang out?
Oh, I'd love to hang out.
Okay, let's do that. Let's dump some news on people here at just ahead here right around 8:21. Get your thoughts on that as well, because that protest. I mean, I am actually glad to see there's some pushback and saying, no, you're not allowed to commandeer other people's property or lives. That's not free speech. Besides, they were on a bridge. Just throw them off.
It's water down there.
314-912-1019.
Destination, making cold mind to fight your war. Stop it right now.
Watch us on our live stream using Rumble, Facebook, and Twitter. Mike Ferguson in the morning.
Before you blow us all away.
We've been here 30 years, 30 Christmases in this house, and we have the traditions that most families have.
That's Terry talking about her experience with Rhino Shield ceramic coating.
We did Rhino Shield 14 years ago, and the house still looks the same as the first day. Rhino Shield really worked with me to help me get just the right nice soft yellow, and it's 14 years later, and it's the same color.
The main reason Terry called Rhino Shield is because it's backed by its 25-year transferable warranty.
It just sounded wonderful that we could have the house coated with Rhino Shield and not have to worry about it again for 25 years.
Take it from Terry. Give Rhino Shield a call now for a free evaluation. 877-25-RHINO. 877-25-RHINO. Or visit 877-25rhino.com.
There have been neighbors that have come by and said, did you just have your house painted? Because they wanted to know who the contractor was. And I said, no, it's actually Rhino Shield.
877-25rhino.com.
Kickstart your spring with spring into green savings on a John Deere compact tractor at Seidenstricker Nobe Partners. For a limited time, we have 0% financing for 84 months with 0 down on select models. Plus, when you purchase an in-stock model year 23 compact tractor, you'll save up to an additional $2,500. Take home the tractor of your dreams today. Visit snpartners.com for more information.
Offer valid through 4/26/2024. Some restrictions apply. See dealer for details.
My friend, death is certain. Are you prepared? Larry Connors here. I don't want to scare you, but your funeral plans are an important conversation you need to have with your spouse, family, other loved ones. My friend Benjamin Schaefer at Senior Memorial can help find you an affordable, final expense life insurance policy, regardless of your health condition. You could qualify up to $30,000 of lifetime coverage. Life insurance plans with Senior Memorial also offer living benefits towards hearing and diabetic supplies, access to a 24-hour teledoc service, discounts on urns, caskets, tombstones. Call my friend Benjamin at Senior Memorial and discover your legacy at 314-866-8886 or visit memorialplans.com. Memorialplans.com. Senior Memorial Heritage Protection.
Pizza's here.
Oh, great. I'd love some, but I'm worried about my stomach issues.
If you're worried about having diarrhea, gas, bloating, stomach pain, or loose, oily stools, it may not just be stomach issues. It could be a condition called exocrine pancreatic insufficiency, or EPI. With EPI, the pancreas doesn't release enough enzymes to break down food, but EPI is manageable. Use the symptom checker on identifyepi.com and talk to your doctor. That's identifyepi.com. Sponsored by AbbVie.
We used to argue about whose turn it was to clean the gutters, but then I had Leaf Filter gutter protection installed.
Wait, I told you Leaf Filter had free inspections and estimates and a lifetime guarantee.
Meaning we never have to argue about whose turn it is to clean the gutters again.
But I visited leaffilter.com/beacon first.
No, I did.
It doesn't matter who. Visit leaffilter.com/beacon to schedule your free gutter inspection and get up to 30% off today.
See representative for warranty details. Promotion is 20% off plus a 10% senior or military discount. One discount per household.
Hey, thank you very much for taking my call.
News, analysis, opinion.
Yes, I just want you to know what a breath of fresh air you people are.
101.9 and 94.1 News Talk STL.
Love the music you hear on the morning show? Check out Mike's morning music playlist at newstalkstl.com.
Well, Belinda Carlisle.
Heavens on earth.
Yeah, heaven is a place on earth.
Yeah.
Her post-Go-Go's career. She was really big in the 80s there for a while. Her, Jane Wiedlin had a good career from the Go-Go's as well. But this was like pop gold back in my high school years.
It reminds you of like Breakfast Club.
That's right. Yeah.
Yep. You know, what a magical time to be alive.
Seriously.
A lot of great conversation happening on the Rumble chat box right now. So jump on in there. A lot of people talking about the protest of the kids and the cameras. Let's just say that this movement has worn out its welcome. Let's put it that way. Danny Define in the studio with us from Next Gen Show. What can we look forward to this weekend?
So this weekend, like I mentioned earlier, I have a great guest on from the area. He has invested in a lot of different real estate properties, comes from a very interesting background. It'll bring a unique perspective. He's a kind of a big-time player here in St. Louis, very well known. So he will be offering his perspective on, he's Jewish and gay. So that'll be an interesting perspective, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So he'll be talking about just what it means to him, St. Louis, and how he's born and raised here. So how he has seen the city just kind of degrade over the last several years, and what we can do to get this thing back on track. And I have a lot of good friends here in the area that have built businesses and that are doing some remarkable things here in St. Louis. And I think it's going to be that next generation of leadership to really step up and get this thing back on the right track. And my guest, his name's Josh Gould. He'll be on the show this Sunday. very interesting, good head on his shoulders, and it'll bring a very unique perspective to what's going on.
So Sunday night, 10 o'clock.
Sunday night, 10 o'clock. Yep. Next gen.
The morning news dump.
Are you joking? Is this a joke?
Listen, folks. The morning news dump.
All right, here's what's going on around the area. By the way, here in about 10 minutes or so, we're going to talk to one of the Battlehawks themselves. Man, I'm looking forward to this. Carson Wells, linebacker, man, number 26. He's got to be salivating, getting ready to play Memphis because they have a tendency to let their quarterback get sacked. All right, but here's what's happening around St. Louis. Daniel Riley learns his fate, and it's almost 2 decades behind bars. Riley, of course, was convicted last month of multiple charges related to the car crash that cost Janae Edmondson her legs. During the hearings, Janae's mother, Francine Edmondson, addressed the court. This is part of what she had to say.
He sentenced Janae on that street that night to be an amputee for the rest of her life. The sentence he was given will never be enough to repay for what she had taken from her and from our family.
Okay, now Daniel Riley, I mean, this has got to be one of the most arrogant defendants I've ever heard or seen in my life. He was offered a plea deal that would have given him a couple years less, rejected it, wanted to roll the dice in court, ended up with 19 years instead of 17 years, asked for a new trial, that was denied. Now he's going to spend almost 20 years behind bars.
I think they could have done more. They could have done more with this. I think part of the thing is that they decided that he would spend the sentences for his multiple infractions concurrently rather than consecutively. I think that's one of the reasons why it turned out to be that 18 year region as opposed to the longer sentence, which I think they could have get it to.
Yeah, I mean, they could have charged higher and more, but the bottom line is that the city now, of course, still has the lawsuit against it from the Edmondson family, and that's going to go to court in next March as well, which, by the way, is right before the local elections in St. Louis as well, wow. So that could have an impact there as well.
And this guy had quite the rap sheet, too, right? Oh, yeah. And that's on Kim Gardner's watch. Yeah, so it should have never been out in the first place.
Exactly.
Well, it was documented that he violated the terms of his, parole literally over 100 times because they could track the thing on his ankle and they knew that, I mean, it was just insane that he was still out anywhere and he didn't have a license. And I mean, it was just over and over and over again. It's just absolute incompetence again by St. Louis city government.
See, just things like that, though. You look at St. Louis and where we've gone the last 15, 20, 30 years, and it seems like, oh, this is just a insurmountable thing to climb this mountain and get St. Louis back on track, but it's just common sense. Like, look, fixes like that, keeping people like that off the streets and cleaning up the crime is obviously the number one thing here in the city of St. Louis, and it's so frustrating too because there's so much potential, and it's just like things like this. How does this happen?
Yeah. All right. School choice expansion is headed to the governor's desk on the Missouri side with the bare minimum number of votes needed. Missouri House passes the plan to expand tax credit scholarships. Also, it will allow charter schools in Boone County. It is expected the Governor Parson will sign it into law. The bill also increases funding for public schools. That was a compromise with Democrats who mostly voted against the bill anyway. So that is off the table. Still a lot of hard feelings within the conservative movement on it, but the school choice expansion is going to the governor's desk.
Finally, we get something.
A little something, yeah. I mean, it's the tax credit scholarship expansion. That's a very, very good thing. Are there warts on the bill? Yep.
Oh, gosh, it's very warty.
Yeah, but, overall, it's like good or bad. There's more good than bad. If you want to hear a conversation with Camellia Peterson from Americans for Prosperity, we talked to her earlier today. That's going to be up on the News Talk STL podcast a little bit later on today, probably within the next few hours. Okay, Cardinals start a home series against the Brewers in a division matchup tonight. Kyle Gibson's going to start on the mound for the Redbirds. 7:15 first pitch at Busch Stadium for that. Cardinals are hoping to get back to 500 with a win tonight. They are 9-10 right now. I know people are saying, they're in last place in the division, but it's really a competitive division. There's not that much of a difference between first and last place. Cardinals have not had a super series or super season so far, but they haven't had a terrible one like a lot of people are saying. They've been competitive, won a number of series. Really, it's not been as bad as we thought it was going to be, and the Cardinals are showing some promise. We just need Sonny Gray to apparently throw every single game.
Apparently so.
Can we bring Chris Carpenter out of retirement?
Yeah.
Is he still around?
Jose Oquendo, bring him up here, have him throw.
Hey, might as well. We're bringing everybody else back.
Oh, I'm just being told that Sonny Gray's orthopedic surgeon says he's not allowed to throw every single game. So thanks a lot, Doc. All right, just ahead here, Battlehawks, man, they are on national TV. tomorrow morning. And we've got linebacker Carson Wells with us at 8:35 playing the Memphis Life Refs at the Dome. Let's talk about we'll talk about that with him at 8:34.
Like us on Facebook at News Talk STL. Get up. It's Mike Ferguson in the morning.
When you walk into the room, you pull me close, now it's time to move. And we're spinning with the stars above, and you lift me up in a web of love. Ooh, baby, do you know what that's worth? Ooh, heaven is a place on earth.
From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
Yesterday's damaging thunderstorms are long gone, and now cooler air is in control as winds are locked in out of the north. A decent amount of sunshine today, though, should be enough to push highs into the low 60s. I think it'll feel nice. Back into the 50s for your evening plans and staying dry, down to 43 for the low early Saturday morning. And this cooler air mass sticks around through the weekend. I've got 61 for the high Saturday, up to 63 on Sunday. That's your first alert forecast. I'm meteorologist Matt Chambers.
Fox News commentary.
Denver will partially defund its police department to prioritize care and resources for illegal immigrants. You get what you vote for, Denver. I'm Tommy Lahren. More next.
Donald Trump Jr. here. Since January of 2021, the cost of living has increased by 17.9%. You can't get that money back, but you can stop your losses by diversifying into a gold IRA from my friends at Birch Gold Group. To learn more, get your free info kit on gold IRAs by texting the word SHELTER to 989898. That's SHELTER to the number 989898 to get your free info kit from Birch Gold now.
Message and data rates may apply.
We've got two major problems in America, an illegal immigration influx and a crime crisis. The Democrat-controlled city of Denver has thumbed its nose at both of those with its new budget proposal. Get this, Denver will allocate $45 million in funding for programs dedicated to the illegal immigrant crisis, and this will come at the expense of the police budget. Yes, an $8 million budget cut to the police department budget to prioritize funding for people who have no right to be here. And the city of Denver only has about 1,000 migrants being cared for in its shelters. You can bet your bottom dollar more on the way, and these budget cuts to necessary programs will continue and worsen to pay for Biden's open border. Every city is a border city, and every state is a border state under Joe Biden. I'm Tommy Lahren, and you can watch my show, Tommy Lahren is Fearless, at Outkick.com.
If you just recently inherited a property and you're not sure what to do with it, maybe it needs a lot of work, but you know you need to get it sold, reach out today. 314-417-1000. 417-1000. My name's Chad Clayman with Clayman Real Estate, where we've been buying houses directly from the seller with no middleman involved for over 90 years. We're a family business, and we help simplify the sale for folks that don't want to list the house on the market and have to deal with the entire sales process. And we specialize with people that just recently inherited a house. We're very familiar with the probate process, so if that is you, please reach out and we can simplify your sale today. 314-417-1000. 314-417-1000. And we've been doing it for over 90 years. So if you have a house that you'd like to sell, whether you inherited it or it needs work, please reach out as we can make you a simple, fair cash offer. 314-417-1000. 314-417-1000.
Missouri education officials must be bad poker players. They keep doubling down on the same bad bet. Public school students haven't been reading or doing math at their grade level for way too long. Last year, a horrifying 40% were regarded as not college or career ready after high school. Many states have adopted school choice. Iowa, Oklahoma, and Arkansas all provide money so families can choose the public or private school that works for them. And Kansas has one of the strongest public school choice programs in the nation. Nearly every family in Missouri has given exactly two choices for their children's education. They're assigned public school or learning online. That's it. Our neighbors trust their parents to choose the right school for their kids. Missouri doesn't. So enrollment is already shrinking. That will mean fewer high school graduates, college students, and workers. A bad bet indeed. Check out our 2024 blueprint, Moving Missouri Forward at ShowMeInstitute.org. The Show Me Minute has been brought to you by Show Me Institute and Show Me Opportunity.
Free speech is alive and well in America.
Thanks for taking my call.
Right here.
My point about the governor there, it is absolutely about power.
I read this, I almost fell out of my chair.
News Talk STL.
This thing is just absolutely dripping with iron.
News, analysis, opinion.
Hey, this is Rob Carter. Join me weeknights at 8 p.m. as I challenge our politicians, expose the political press, and analyze pop culture. It's the Rob Carter Show, weeknights from 8 to 10 p.m. here on News Talk STL. Now let's get back to the best men's league over 40 backstop in St. Louis. Mike Ferguson in the morning.
Little ZZ Top on your Flashback Friday.
You're welcome, honey.
That's right.
that
My request.
That was Janet's request.
Oh, no wonder you married her. She's got good taste in music.
Mhm.
There we go.
And she's got great legs.
Oh, Gabriel. Oh. I'm clutching my pearls. This is a family-oriented morning show.
Yes. Marital bliss is important to family
There you
formation.
Does she identify as a she, her?
Absolutely.
Okay.
That's a lot of she.
Carson's listing on Carson from the Battlehawks is listing, going, "What the hell did I just get myself into?" All right, so here's what's happening. The Battlehawks have the UFL's early game this weekend. They host the Memphis Showboats at the Dome, of course. 11:30 kickoff. Now this is on ABC, the national broadcast on ABC. Battlehawks coach hoping you don't watch it on TV, hoping that you go to the stadium. Set another attendance record. Battlehawks, by the way, tied for first in the XFL conference with a 2-1 record. Second most points scored in the league so far after 3 weeks. The Pontoons are 1-2 on the season as they're coming in as well. Now we're joined by
Pontoons.
Oh yeah, Showboats. I'm sorry, Showboats.
I think you've used every nautical term you can.
Number 26 is Carson Wells, linebacker for the Battlehawks, who joins us right now. And Carson, first of all, man, appreciate you being on the show. Secondly, you're a linebacker. The Memphis Showboats gave up 8 sacks last week alone. From a linebacker's perspective, are you already lobbying for more blitz plays to be called so you can plant a quarterback?
Yeah, I appreciate y'all having me on. And yeah, no doubt. I mean, when it comes to a team like that, you wanna get on them early and just not give them a chance to breathe.
Good morning, Carson. Gabe Pfeiffer here. So, what I'm hoping to see on Saturday is some defensive points off the turnover. I'm really looking for somebody to grab that INT and take it all the way to the house. What are you thinking in terms of anticipating the types of plays you're going to be able to have those opportunities?
Yeah,
when
because
you face
they
the
actually
Showboats?
had to do a quarterback switch last week, so they that's not been their strongest point, is putting in the air.
That's actually been a point of emphasis for us for the last 2 years since the XFL came back last year and the UFL this year. We actually haven't scored as a defense, so we got a little reward system out for that. So we've definitely made it a point of emphasis.
Awesome.
Yeah, we're visiting with Carson Wells, linebacker for the St. Louis Battlehawks here. Okay, so it just seems like just the last couple of weeks that you all in the Battlehawks have really kind of gelled and settled in, because that's one of the unique things with the XFL is you don't know what the roster is going to look like from year to year, and as the XFL continues to grow, people will settle in more. But what's it feel like on the field, in the locker room, when it comes to playing with guys that you just started playing with, and you don't have that 2, 3, 4 year history of being teammates? You've got a 1 season or half a season with it. I mean, how's that coming together?
I think we actually had a huge advantage with St. Louis staying together through the merger. I think we probably had 25 or 30 guys still on the team from last year. That was a huge advantage coming out through training camp, year 2 in the system for a bunch of guys. I think that's why we've been gelling early in the season.
Hey, good morning, Carson. Stal Ponticus here. So as a linebacker, who were some of the players you followed and enjoyed watching as a kid?
As a kid, so I grew up in Florida. Both my parents went to the University of Florida. And then a kid from my high school named Earl Everett. He played linebacker at the University of Florida.
Mm-hmm.
In that national championship in 2006. He was the guy that tackled Troy Smith without his helmet on. I don't know if y'all remember that.
Yeah, I
picture
remember that.
went viral.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then he was my coach in high school too, actually.
Oh,
It's
wow.
somebody I watched a lot.
All right, when you're watching the game tomorrow, whether you're at the Dome or whether you're watching on ABC, you want to watch for number 26. That's Carson Wells, and that's who we're talking to right now, not about, talking with right now. Okay, when you look at the game plan coming in right here, I mean, obviously, home field, it's going to be noisy in there. Memphis or anybody else, they're not used to the crowds that St. Louis gets, and I'll ask you about that here in just a second. But this is kind of a crucial game. We're not quite halfway through the season. 2-1 on the year, tied for first in the division. A win here really puts you in a great position as things start to shape up for playoffs.
No doubt. Everybody's trying to figure out who they are right now. We're trying to set our identity. We need to come in early, try to stop the run, and like y'all said, get after the quarterback. Early with a 10-game season, all the games matter. You can't just, we'll turn it on later in the year and get ready for the playoff push. Every game matters in a 10-game season. So we know the importance of these.
Hey, Carson, Danny Define here. Good morning. I wanted to know how A.J. McCarron and his leadership, how does that translate in the locker room? Obviously, he was on some great teams there in Alabama, won a national title. But what does it mean to have him leading this group here at the Battlehawks?
Oh, it's great. I mean, he takes full control of the offense. I mean, if something goes wrong in practice, miss a block or routes messed up, you don't have to wait for a coach to rewrite the play or get on somebody. He takes full control of that and gets everybody where they need to be when they need to be there.
Yeah, and that's got to say something to the team, Carson, that he asked for his release from an NFL team to come back specifically to St. Louis and this team with the Battlehawks. That's got to mean a lot to the guys in the locker room, I would think.
Yeah, I mean, it's always good teams are led by coaches, great teams are led by players, and he's one of the best leaders I could think of out there to follow.
Well, we saw another record-breaking crowd to gather in the Dome last week. Are you anticipating another 40,000-plus people screaming and wearing their blue and giving their best cacaw?
I mean, no doubt. I mean, that's a huge advantage for us. We feed off of that. That gets us going. I mean, we've lost one game at home over the last 2 seasons. Mm-hmm. That's hard to beat. You can't. It's hard to beat that in college.
Yeah, and last week you literally outdrew the St. Louis Cardinals on the same day.
Yeah.
Is there a Cardinals game this weekend?
There is. It's they start at 1:15, so everybody can go check out the Battlehawks, and they can go to Ballpark Village right after to celebrate the win if they want.
Yeah, there's a game, but it's not the game.
Right.
The Battlehawks, that's the game.
That's the game.
Yeah, but I mean, Carson, but along those lines, I mean, last week the Battlehawks had 2/3 of the attendance for the entire week in the league. That week, I mean,
40,317.
And other teams were getting 3,000, 5,000, 7,000. I still think the UFL can succeed and grow and become a really good overall league. But if that happens, it's because of what the market is doing here, what your team, the Battlehawks, is doing here, and what the fans are doing here. And so, tell me a little bit about what it's like. You've been on the road. You went and played the Michigan Kittens the first week early on, and then of course got the win last week. But when you go on the road and see that they're excited about 5, 7, 10,000 people maybe showing up, and then get here and the other teams roll out to 40-some thousand people, that's got to change the dynamics. What's the reaction to the players knowing that that's the kind of support you're going to get?
Yeah, I saw last week the total attendance across the whole league was like 39,000. I mean, we had that in one game. But the offense has definitely got to change up when they come to St. Louis. They can't be a verbal cadence. Everything has to be nonverbal on the clap. Makes communication a lot harder. Makes our job a lot easier in terms of getting after the quarterback. They got to over communicate, know where the flag protection's going. Quarterback guy has to know where the hot routes are. Everybody has to be on the same page, and the 40,000 just makes everything 10 times harder.
Okay, just got a minute or so left here. We're visiting with Carson Wells, a linebacker for the St. Louis Battlehawks. When you look at the pregame broadcast and everything, they're always like, okay, here are the main points to watch for, game keys to the game or whatever the case is. So you're playing the Canoes tomorrow. What's the game plan? What are the top things that you have to, that the keys to the game that we should be watching for? I mean, let's start with where you are on defense, because obviously with you in that key linebacker position right there, what are the things that we should be watching for to know that, yep, you got the upper hand and you're taking control of the game?
First things first, you got to stop the run. Let AJ and that offense get rolling, and then get after the quarterback. That's 3 steps to victory.
All right.
All right, Carson Wells, St. Louis Battlehawks. The game's on ABC. Kickoff is at 11:30. I'm not sure when the coverage starts, probably around 11 or so. But get out to the Dome, man. I mean, get out there. Let's continue to basically. We are the sugar daddy of the entire UFL right now.
Yes.
Let's be honest, because we're showing up, but the Battlehawks are delivering, man. So Carson, great to chat with you, man. Thanks for being on.
Thanks, Carson.
Yes, sir. Appreciate y'all for having me.
Yep, you got it.
Thanks,
All right.
Carson.
By the way, quick trivia thing about here. Carson and his family actually own a cattle ranch, so he's actually a cowboy.
He's a literal cowboy.
He's a literal cowboy.
So go out there and beat those life rafts.
That's right.
Yeah, pontoons. What a weak name that is.
The Memphis dinghies.
All right. It is April 19th, which means tomorrow, by my public school math, is that tomorrow is 420.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. You know anybody who's going to be celebrating? I know people who are going to be celebrating this like a holiday. I'm just telling you.
Smoke is thick in the air.
It will be. I was at the Dome once when the
no.
smoke was thick in the air, but that was a Guns N' Roses concert.
Oh, okay. That was pyrotechnics.
Even
no, isn't it?
even
smoke.
Axl Rose went, I'm assuming you all have your medical cards, right? Yeah.
I wonder where the Doobie Brothers are playing tomorrow.
Yeah, really?
Oh, my God.
Oh, man. All right, that's still ahead here. We've got Danny Define in studio with us here on 101.9 94.1 News Talk STL.
Get up, St. Louis. It's Mike Ferguson in the morning.
This is Rob with St. Louis Bathroom Renovation, and we'd like to let you know you don't have to maintain the grout in your home anymore. The grout on the floor or in your shower or bath area. How would you like zero grout in your bathroom? At St. Louis Bathroom Renovation, we focus on grout-free options for your bathroom. If you hate cleaning grout, St. Louis Bathroom Renovation, 314-477-6476. 314-477-6476. Give us a call.
Pigeons, they are everywhere, and they're very good at dive bombing freshly washed cars. Wellington Environmental reminds you those droppings are more than a nuisance. They can be a major health issue, especially massive droppings on buildings or in parking garages. So who do you call to safely clean it up? You do what many hospitals, universities, public buildings already do. You call Wellington Environmental. Wellington Environmental has been dealing with all kinds of hazards for 35 years. Special people, special skills, special equipment. Wellington gets it done. So to avoid health issues ranging from pigeon droppings to mold to chemical leaks, contact Wellington. 314-644-4930, 644-4930. WellingtonSTL.com. Wellington Environmental. Your world cleaner, better, safer. Be well with Wellington.
To all our incredible supporters, we at the David Dorn Foundation say thank you. Your 5-star online reviews that you recently posted are beacons of encouragement on our mission to assist first responders. And a shout out to Steve Katraba, who reviewed us with these powerful words. The Dorn Foundation continues to fill a need in the public safety community and thereby to the public. Steve, your words are more than a review. They show the impact we're making for first responders. To read more strong reviews, Google the Dorn Foundation now.
The Herzog Tomorrow Foundation provides private school tuition scholarships through Missouri's new Mo Scholars program to cover the cost of accessible, high-quality schooling.
Hi, this is Myella Esser with the Herzog Tomorrow Foundation. Our private school tuition scholarships wouldn't be possible without the support of generous Missouri taxpayers. If you're a Missouri taxpayer interested in redirecting your tax dollars and sending them to Missouri students in need of a better education, please contact me at herzogmoscholars.org.
Better education for students creates a better tomorrow for all. Learn how you can help provide a better education for Missouri students at herzogmoscholars.org. That's herzogmoscholars.org. Also, sign up for The Lion, an initiative of the Herzog Foundation that carries articles covering a wide range of issues facing American families and culture. herzogfoundation.com. That's herzogfoundation.com.
News Talk STL is proud to have Doug Voss of Safe Money Radio as part of our lineup each week. Doug has been a staple on St. Louis radio for many years as one of the leading financial experts in the area. Doug and Safe Money Radio is on 3 times every weekend, but in case you miss anything, you can check it all out at DougVossSafeMoneyRadio.com or call 844-676-SAFE. That's 844-676-7233. Doug Voss is a registered representative. Securities offered through DHL Securities, LLLP. Member FINRA and SIPC.
Hey, St. Louis, my name is Rob Carter. If you are sick and tired of the corporate news bubble, if you like unedited information free from corporate money, if you want straight talk with no script, join me weeknights from 8 to 10 p.m. on The Rob Carter Show.
Live and local, weeknights at 8 on News Talk STL. Love the music you hear on the morning show? Check out Mike's Morning Music Playlist at newstalkstl.com.
I gotta just mention, it's completely coincidence that our boss's birthday is tomorrow and it's 420 tomorrow.
Yeah,
those two have nothing to do with each other.
There's no relation there.
Because literally, if there's anybody like the single last person I would ever picture,
oh my gosh,
that's Jeff.
Yes, second to my dad.
I actually know people that probably are going to treat tomorrow like a holiday.
Like a real holiday.
Like literally are going to celebrate 420.
Speaking of Jeff and his birthday, is this a little foreshadowing? Are you going to get him some Chippendale dancers? This always reminds me of Chris Farley and Patrick Swayze.
Oh, yeah.
on SNL.
Oh, I forgot about
Barney and Adrian.
No, here's how we celebrate News Talk style is I think tacos are coming in today.
It's Taco Tuesday.
Okay. Taco Day.
Taco Day.
But 420, it's kind of funny because it becomes a thing. Of course, then again, the same people are going to celebrate this tomorrow like a holiday have been celebrating legalization nonstop since it became legal.
Yeah, pretty much.
So
every morning.
And matter of fact, remember tomorrow is a palindrome as well.
4/20/24.
Yeah.
Look at that.
Matter of fact, there's some people talking about
Gabe,
this.
can you explain what that means? You're a rocket scientist.
Well, it's the same way this way as it is that way.
From
forwards and backwards, yeah. Like
matter of fact, there are some people talking about this like right out there. They're like imbibing already. Here's what. Let's go check in with them real quick. Hey guys.
Legal pot sales have hit an all-time high.
I had a pot gummy bear the other day. There's a difference between smoking it and eating it. When you eat it, it lets you talk to dolphins.
You've got a higher power. And I gotta stay high all the time. Come on, get higher. She's so high. She get high. I'm so living high. In the midday sun.
I can see the air.
That was actually not the one I wanted to play. And no, I have not been celebrating myself here.
I can see the air.
Yes.
It's incredible. I've grown up in this pot revolution, and I've seen the changes in the public perception over the last 10 years. In high school, you had to drive 50 miles into the woods just to smoke out of an apple. And now you have kids walking in Target in their flannels and slippers just hitting the vape pen while they're doing some shopping. It's incredible to see how this has evolved over the last 10, 15 years.
We were just talking about that. And yeah, it's like a lot of things, like a lot of cultural norms have changed pretty dramatically over just the last 10 years, let alone the last 20 years. I was like, because I was coming up as a kid, 80s, 90s kids. So looking at the difference between my upbringing and let's say my daughter's upbringing or now, my nieces and nephews, their upbringing, my goodness, it's a different world entirely.
It is. And I've always been I'm pro pot. I don't think it should be a criminal offense. I don't mind it being legalized at the recreational level. But having said that, I also feel like the accessibility and when you're talking about kids in high school, vaping and things like that, just like anything else, you need to handle it responsibly. And I don't think anybody under the age of 21, when your brain is still developing, that cannot be good to be 14 years old smoking weed all the time.
I know some 40-year-olds whose brains are still developing and probably
That's true. That's true.
Hi, Sean Long from STL Fenceworks. A new fence or deck is an investment in your home and your lifestyle. But how do you ensure that you're getting the most out of that investment? At STL Fenceworks, we know the key is satisfaction. Satisfaction means getting a fence or deck that not only meets your needs, but exceeds your expectations. Satisfaction means working with a team that cares about your project as much as you do. Satisfaction means having confidence in the quality of your new fence or deck, knowing that it was built with the best of materials and workmanship. STL Fenceworks, your satisfaction is our passion. And for me, satisfaction is knowing that providing for your family is how I provide for mine. Visit stlfenceworks.com and experience the satisfaction in making your backyard dreams into a reality.
Jewels on Hampton and St. Louis Hills is paying some of the highest prices on gold, silver, diamonds, semi-precious colored stones, coins, flat weight